must look up that guy now. Mr. Murphy, that's what it was, yeah. I must write the note down so if I remember it.
Oh, you're worse than me, so I can't remember shit.
I should look, I do it just in case. Mr. Murphy.
I watched a bunch of those videos, but there was one video that was annoying because I couldn't get onto my own YouTube, which has no ads, and this one had fucking ads, so I just went into my own YouTube. I think it was like an interview. Do you call him the godfather of this?
Oh, well, yeah, there was an old man, yeah, on stage, TED Talk.
Yeah.
There
was also an American farmer on a TED Talk related to the subject, the topic.
Probably Gabe Brown, a heavy fella.
Yeah.
I
was thinking, was he actually, because the older guy said that when he was banished from England at one stage, he went over to America, and the Americans wanted him to fucking teach thousands of people his methods.
Yes.
I was thinking maybe this guy is one of them. One of his students.
No doubt. Like the lady who taught me, she's called Sheila Cook, and she's married to Chris Cook. They run this company 3LM that I'm with. 3LM. It basically means life, land, and livestock management.
Right.
That's what it's called, 3LM. But basically, so this guy Alan Savory, he set up a Savory Institute, and it's a global organization. But then you have you've got individual hubs that are kind of semi-autonomous companies that basically teach the principles that they talk about.
Right.
And one of those is 3LM. That's who I work for. They learnt over in the US. So it could well be because they were in the same class as this guy Gabe Brown. So I don't know. But I think that the Thousands group, that was kind of a military organization, was it?
There was military involved because he's very fond of bringing up the military. Oh yeah, here, there's a mug. A little gift to all those who are foolish enough to come into the Blackbird.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Blackbird, Sam.
No worries.
Yeah, but he was mentioning a lot about... See, I made the mistake of watching a debate then that he had with some other guy. Now, I'm kind of opposed to science in general because I find that the scientists you hear from have been politically placed.
Oh, it's completely...
As opposed to the real deal scientist guys who I usually go down these rabbit holes and I find out all these guys who get vilified and shut up, all your money's taken off you and all of this. Some even assassinated. So it's like, what the fuck in the world are we living in? You know what I mean?
It's a wild system. Yeah, no, the scientific enterprise has been captured.
Everything is, I think.
Yeah, it's been captured mostly. It's tricky to figure it out.
How did you get involved? I mean, what is this for your farm?
No, I was the second son, so I've gone off to try and do my own thing.
All right.
Yeah, so I went off and I trained as a geologist.
A geologist.
Yeah, and then I got a master's in Leeds, and then I went off and I just worked in various countries. The last 10 years I spent over in Canada.
All right.
Yeah, so I was working over there and on the oil patch. Over when I was here, I was working offshore drilling and all that kind of stuff with regards to pipelines with a company in the UK. But yeah, I went over to Canada trying to new life and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And it was going good. The first year I was working really hard, but I got very badly sick in 2014. And then I was lucky that I was able to get fixed, but you have to take pretty serious medications.
Right.
And I just found that as I was talking to the doctors and I was trying to find, okay, so what caused it?
Yeah.
And it was tumbleweeds. And then I would ask various questions and dig deeper and deeper. And the more I dug deeper, the more I realized that they weren't interested in finding out what the root cause was.
They never are.
All they were interested in was but I was naive and foolish, and I kind of thought the medical industry was actually wanted to make people better.
Yeah.
That was the position I was in at that stage. But then I realized, and you come to realize these things, and you realize, okay, like medical industry, you can't make money off an independent, healthy person.
No.
So that's the last thing the machine, let's say, want. Exactly. Yeah. So, and when you look, once you realize that, and you start looking around, you see that everywhere.
Yes.
You see that everywhere.
In all the big industries. I mean, I try not to go on rants about political stuff and whatnot, but it's hard not to. When it's creeping ever closer to your home.
It is.
To your happy place.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I think we should burn the place down. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Get rid of them. Start again. Because it's just been so... And now with the advance of wealthy people, individuals who are just the front for nasty people like Google and fucking Facebook and all of these people. They have more money than countries, for God's sake. And they're they're affecting democracy. I say democracy very loosely because it doesn't exist. Clearly.
Well, yeah, people say the word, but they don't realize what.
It's like I love you. You don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. So when I was looking at all these videos, and there was one in particular of a guy in England. He had a
James Rebanks
farm.
Yeah.
Dude, he's cool. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
I loved his whole, and he had all the results are right there for everything he's saying. And the reason why I didn't like this debate that I was watching today or listening to today was this science guy, I guess, basically a science guy, arguing with your Godfather guy.
I think the one you're talking about is a guy called George Monbiot.
He's a cunt.
Well, the thing was, neither of them were really listening to each other.
No, but I could hear what he was offering up as, like, your man would say, well, the facts are indisputable, the results are there. And he goes, that could be anyone's photographs. It could be How can you dismiss it all when the guy has practically ledgered his whole time in any one given place and said, well, this is bit, it's all like a diary.
Yeah.
And this guy that's how he's going to defeat him in a debate. Oh, well, that could be anyone's picture.
Yeah.
That annoys me no end.
Logic goes out the window. Like he was invited actually afterwards by Alan Savory to come onto a farm so that he could walk him through and explain what the processes are. But he kind of dodged it. I think maybe he did go on it, but he wouldn't be changed. Look, it's very, very difficult. There's an old line. It's kind of, you can never convince a man of a lie if his livelihood depends on him believing it. You know, and this is everywhere. This is everywhere. Plus, the biggest. I was up at the ploughing championship recently, and we're trying to sell these courses we're doing.
Right.
And various farmers were coming up. The farmers that were more inclined, or the people who were more inclined to listen to what we're saying, are the people who hadn't farmed before, because the biggest barrier to new information is old information.
Yes.
Do you know? And I don't know whether your mind actually structurally builds around that information, and there's a kind of a protection mechanism, because if you're a tribal animal, it makes sense that it would evolve that there's a kind of a protection from the outsider.
Perhaps, but I mean we have ample history to document any particular topic. To see, well, look, it changed gradually. See, gradually is the key, I think. Naturally is gradual. All these sudden changes that are usually implemented politically are too abrupt, and that's why there's friction. People aren't into abrupt change.
No.
They're into slowly catch a monkey.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of the issues, let's say, with farming that I'm looking at now, it's taken generations to develop. Ever since the First World War, when they figured out to kill people with mustard gas, all of those scientists were basically employed by Bayer and the rest of them. They just became fertilizer companies and pesticide companies and all the rest of it. So they figured out, and we've been doing this to the land for 100 odd years. It's going to take a generation or two to fix it, to turn it around. Well, and so it's a slow burner.
There's a lot of farms internationally now that big farms have kind of taken on board, and you can't argue with the results that they have.
They can.
It's unbelievable.
But if you hide the information, you look, certain people who are in certain areas, they're only getting, because you're a busy person, you're a farmer. You got lots to do. The idea of going off to, you're struggling to make it all work, and you're doing the same as everybody else. So okay, I'm doing okay. What's the incentive for you, or do you have the time to start investigating, going down all these rabbit holes to find the new thing, which is kind of kept on the edges, because obviously there's an awful lot of business involved in the current system, So it's a big job to try and.
But when you look at the stats that are there about the suicide rate in the farming industry, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that should tell you something. It's not working, guys.
It's a tricky thing, because I don't know. If you're involved in any kind of an enterprise, what you want to do is you want to think that whatever it is you're doing is productive and it's improving something.
Yeah.
That gives you meaning to whatever it is you're doing. But the current system, you're kind of told what to do, and as long as you do it, everything is kind of the same. What we're selling is a different thing. We're selling the opportunity to increase the quality of your farm over time.
Yeah,
and that's the kind of thing that you can sell to your kids.
See, therein lies the problem, though, because you get better farms. I'll be honest, my ignorance was that this is how they always did farming.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, they don't do that?
I know.
And then your man with his dust cloud on the prairies in America, in Dakota, and I'm like, that's not what you want.
No.
And then he goes on about, goes back into the earth, into the plants, the animals, then we consume them, so we're better off for it. So you get nutrients in your food that's lacking. All these vitamin fucking tablets are gone.
Yeah.
All these fucking medications are gone. So, I mean, look at the crap. There's a serious crack in trust since the whole COVID thing. I think that's become apparent in media, in medical, in science, political. I mean, these are big pillars of society that have just...
I agree with you. It's an opportunity because the word regenerative is a kind of a new word that was brought out because it gives an idea of what you're doing. You're regenerating the soil. And I like it. It's a reasonable word. But it's basically the same as holistic management. But the word holistic is associated with medicine that doesn't work.
Voodoo dolls and
whatnot. But because the allopathic medical system has they've destroyed their reputation amongst the minds of many people, or critical thinkers at least, then the impetus to kind of reframe that word holistic is kind of what I'm leaning into at the moment. And I think it can happen, because you just need to work
spin on it, like.
Well, this is it, because it's a difference. It's a different way of thinking. Like, reductive thinking versus holistic thinking. So the way I picture reductive thinking is that, let's say you're in a jungle, let's say, or whatever enterprise or whatever the kind of system you're working in your farm, but you're aiming at one thing. And for most farmers, it's yield. They want to get the biggest animal, or they want to get the most milk out of it.
Yeah.
And so if you're focused on that thing, I imagine a bulldozer going through a jungle, you're causing all this destruction as you're going through it because you're reductive, you're focused on one little thing. But then all the damage that gets occurred, and I give you an example. You got one company is selling sweet foods because they need to make money and they're selling sweets. But then the destruction is teeth, problems, guts, all the rest of health coming in. So you end up with a load of other enterprises that are also reductionist, that are kind of aiming at trying to fix the damage that's caused by one thing. Holistic is a different approach where you sit back and you realize, okay, we have a system here as a farm in this case, and we're trying to aim at that farm getting up to a particular point, improving in general. And so you understand that all of the different facets of the farm are interconnected, they merge into each other, and you sit back, whenever you're trying to decide whether you have a decision, we have a kind of bit of paper, and it's formal at the start, but it'll become in your head after time. And you just ask a series of questions. And you might turn out, by the end of it, the very first question is, do I need to do this? Because the farmer is he's under so much pressure to be busy.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that stops farmers realize that when they do this, is that they stop doing a lot of the busy work, and they actually walk around, and to the neighbor they look like a lazy fucker that's doing nothing. And that's a kind of
so many psychological strands.
Yeah. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I move the whole thing forward by doing the minimum and just turning the knobs a little bit, understanding that, okay, I have all these little things in here that I think I need to fix, but all I'm doing is treating symptoms. But if I turn this little dial, whatever it is, in terms of how I move my animals, they kind of fix themselves.
Yeah.
Because I understand how the connectivity
So
exists.
work with the land as opposed to against.
And that's the holistic approach, because you've got holes within holes, and it's considering this. But it requires stepping back and getting perspective. But if you're always busy dealing with all the issues and fixing all the band-aids, then you can never get back and have the helicopter view, And
what kind of vibe did you get up at the ploughing champs about the next generation of farmers, or did you get anything? Just people who never farmed.
Hard to say. I wasn't on the stand all the time, but I don't know how would you answer that one. But there was a range of. There wasn't many young people coming along. Like there was. You had existing farmers, and they came along, and they were kind of more difficult to explain it to. Like they understand the mechanism, but they just couldn't quite believe that it could work, and part of that is the fact that maybe in the back of their head the program is going, there's no way that works, because there's no way I'm going to admit I could have been doing that all this time and I was doing it that way. But then you have other people who are coming along and they've never farmed, and maybe they've inherited a bit of land, or they've worked in construction for most of their life, and they want to get into farming, but they don't want to go down. They're in their organic tent where we were situated, so they want to do organic, or they're thinking about it. They don't want to go down the pesticides and all of that route, because they've been observing that, and that's the message you're getting through the media all the time, go organic and all the rest of it, which is fair enough. And so they're looking for something new. And for those people, when you start to explain it, their eyes light up, because they say, oh my God, I can't believe it. They can't believe I can actually do that. And the model that we're describing is a low-cost model, where you don't have to invest in your tractors, all your tractors and your tillage material and your slurry spreader and all of this stuff. As long as you can develop the soil, then you can raise the animals on it.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to do, because with the farmers, like the thing is, with most kind of farming, if it's other than livestock, you require a lot of inputs. Like a dairy farm requires a milking parlour.
Yeah.
If you're doing arable, you require machineries and tractors. Now you still need a tractor to put up your fences, but a livestock farm, if you can have smaller cattle that don't damage the field in the winter, you can grow all the cattle you want from the grass. You don't need to bring in any feed, so you can have very, very minimal inputs. Effectively, if you had a pump to get water, or luckily if you gravity feed, you had springs, a couple of hoses to water tanks, a polywire, which is a kind of a temporary plastic wire with wire strands in it.
Yeah.
You can put up temporary wire fences, and a battery fencer. You can manage your animals this way. You might need a crush as a handling facility in case one of them gets sick and you need to put them in and hold them. But the number of inputs are very, very small. And what you're trying to do effectively is you're trying to be the wolf. Because the way we're talking about in holistic management is that you're moving the animals around like they were in the past by the predator. Yeah. And they're moved on. And so you can imagine a herd that's moving. And as they're moving through, they're always thinking, there's something going to eat me. So there's a kind of a pressure to eat. And because of that, they're not selective.
Yeah.
So they eat everything. And then because of that, and if you're not selective, then the good things don't get eaten, the bad things don't dominate in terms of a situation. Then you've got a big herd that's moving forward. The animals at the back are under pressure because the animals in the front are kind of trampling stuff. They can't get anything to eat. So they're always swimming out around the side to the front. And this forces the stronger animals to get stronger,
right.
And the weak ones come to the back and they get killed off by the predators. So that action maintains the health of the population, and it moves the animals on. Plus, they go with the cattle. The herd will move on. Let's say wildebeest, whatever. When they come back through there, they're not going to go to that spot because it's full of their feces and urine, and so they're always moving to new ground. But you give it a long rest period. And the key thing is, especially in the arid climates, they may only get rain once a year, but then for the rest of the year,
we might get sun once a year.
But for the rest of the year, then things grow great. But then after a while, they start to die up. But the animals come through; they're like watering cans, so they bring water from the watering holes out into the terrain, and the vegetation that grows protects it from the sun. And what you're trying to do, effectively, is to rebuild the water cycle, because because at the moment, the current dogma is that climate change, weather pattern disturbances, whatever way you want to call it, is due to emissions. And I don't see that at all. To me, we have a broken water cycle across the world. And water cycles, it's the water that modulates the temperature in the same way as we're here. And because we're here in the temperate zone, we're modulated by the fact that we get the Gulf Stream and the water, it modulates the temperature, because if you come across this latitude and you're in the continental zone, it'll be freezing through the winter, but it doesn't freeze here.
Well, what about all these their stats, their computer programs to fucking predict X, Y, and Z about all of this global warming? What about recently? There was last week in America at some congressional hearing where they were saying, yeah, well, we do manipulate the weather since the 60s.
Oh,
how can any of the data be reliable?
Yeah.
If it's been manipulated, especially to the degree, I mean, there's loads of concerned citizens, will say, who just went out with their cameras and said, I'm going to plonk this here for 1 hour and watch what happens.
Yeah.
And you're like, how the fuck did that happen? It's crazy.
And then
they tell you, and then they're told you're a conspiracy theorist, their favourite word. Shuts everyone down because they're concerned about what people will think of them.
But I'm conspiracy. Did you ever listen to a guy called Eric Weinstein?
No.
I'd recommend I recommend it's the podcast called the Dark Horse Podcast. One of the guys, Heather Heying and Eric Weinstein. I think they're two of the best people out there. They wrote a very good book called.
Oh, he's the brainiac, isn't he?
There's a couple of those.
He's a super brain. He's
but his older brother is called Eric Weinstein.
They've been on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh yeah, multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of. I mean, I'm a dummy at the best of times, but I can understand people. And I'm gonna have to rewind what you just said.
But the point I was getting to was that Eric Weinstein talks about conspiracy theorizing is an adult activity.
Yeah, it's a natural state.
We wouldn't be here if we didn't if we didn't theorize about conspiracies. Because what happens as you get a bit older is that, let's say in a tribe, for example, if you're out wherever you are, the older people, they sit back in the tent and they're getting wise. Obviously, they get older. The young bucks are going out and they're bringing back information all the time.
Yeah.
And they're sitting around the fire and they're talking. And the people are they're theorizing about what is the pattern of information that I'm receiving. And they determine, okay, we're under threat because of this thing or whatever this thing. And that's theorizing about conspiracies. Like, it's built into us to do it.
Yeah, well, look,
you know,
in this day and age, it really is all about spin, and spin has been the highest bidder gets the better spinner, and
attention.
Yeah, but it's just I can't believe it sometimes. Edging ever closer, blindfolded into like a totalitarian fucking existence, and it's like, where the fuck are the fighting Irish?
Yeah.
For example, I mean, I'm not saying go and torch the gaff, but get your brain working. They're smart Irish people who should know how to fucking, sidestep.
I think people are waking up. And there's an awful lot of people. You heard of tall poppy syndrome.
No.
Well, it's the idea that if one person sticks up their head
Yeah.
and no one else does, then you just get chopped off. And so someone who's looking up and actually noticing what's going on.
Yeah.
But during COVID, I think there was various, whatever way you look at it, they overplayed their hand.
Oh, big
and
time.
everybody, and what happened was everybody stuck their head up at once, say, what the hell is going on here? And then you're, oh hell, I'm not alone. And there's an awful lot of people realize that, there's an awful lot more of us thinking that there's something wrong with what's going on.
A lot of things.
And so this is why Eric Weinstein, Brett Weinstein is very, very good. Like, he talks about this quite a lot. They wrote a very, very good book called A Hunter-Gatherer's Guide to the 21st Century, and I recommend that one.
Yeah, I've got a list of books. I've yet to order any of them, but I prefer to get a blast. You know what I mean? And just kind of...
Do you do audiobooks or do you read?
I read.
I struggle with that. It puts me to sleep a little bit. But
I'm getting there. I'm full.
Yeah.
Even books that I loved, books that are nothing to do with nothing, it's just there's a philosophy stitched through this fucking story, like a Lord of the Rings type of vibe. But the violence is usually what gets me in there. Like, get him.
Okay.
But there is in the arc, we'll say the overall story, there's a cool philosophy put in there, and it's something that I think people need today to instill in themselves, in their own brain, because it's too much hypnotized. Everyone's hypnotized. I'm guilty of it myself. I'd be like, put the phone in the van, you cunt. You're going to get nothing done today.
Yeah.
And it's like, I might get a call, I might miss a... It's this constant argument.
What are you reading at the moment?
I'm reading nothing.
Okay.
Am I reading anything? Oh no, I'm reading the fucking magazine. That's all I'm reading, because I'm trying to think, what am I going to write next week about this?
Do you ever come across a guy called Chris Voss?
No.
He's like a FBI hostage negotiator. He was on the Diary of a CEO podcast, and he's got a book called Never Split the Difference, and I'm listening to that in an audiobook at the moment. It's very, very good. Just how you open things up if you're trying to engage with a person. So that's really good. So, but
now my brain, my focus, I should say, tends to go zoom way out.
That's good.
And I'm looking at, like, I'm not interested in what the little animals are doing on the ground surface. I'm looking at, why are they there in the first place? Where did they come from? What's it all about? And I get sliced and diced into all these different aspects, and it's nearly poetic, and there's a lot of subtleties. It's like watching cigarette smoke out of an ashtray in the right kind of light. Gets you in the right kind of mood.
Okay.
And that's why I like to go abstract a lot, because, like, sure.
Well, you're an artist, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
The horses have captivated me for a
Okay,
long
yeah,
time.
yeah.
It's just
That's
their
pretty damn
movement,
good,
and that was specifically for the pod.
Okay. The Crow from the movie? No.
No.
Oh, this. Black.
That's-
Of course.
that's
Yeah.
a 3D target for the archery.
Yeah.
I
I think I remember this about yeah. Okay, it's all coming back to me a bit because I was in Colossus for 3 years.
Yeah, I got kicked out. It was actually the art teacher who got me back in to do the leaving cert the following year, and I was like reluctant as fuck because I was like, well, I'm learning nothing. Let's be honest, I'm just fucking meeting girls at the Lorette at lunchtime. That's all I'm fucking
Yeah,
doing.
no, I remember. Yeah.
But it was, it was fun. But it's a nice place to
So you
hide,
you do the archery as well? You
I love the archery, dude.
Yeah,
I'm shit at it this year, but it's it's. I was super hot at the start. And then it's like the more information I got, the worse I got.
Okay.
But I'm making inroads now to coming back because I got the bronze medal for the national indoors, my first attempt, and it was a shoot off.
Oh, okay.
So and then I got a bronze for the national. What was it? It was a CIFA national outdoor champs or something like that.
Okay. So then you started to try and perfect your stroke, so to speak. Like
Try to just fucking get back to that. It's like when I'm
a
painting.
natural flow kind of thing.
I have a buddy now who's in college in England for art, and he's died, but he thinks the way he thinks, and he's like, you need a plan, you need this, you just. He's very organized, and I'm like, okay, but the minute I step up to a canvas, all that's gone. It's like you burn through all of that shit, and you're going straight to the source, and you're like, use me, let's see what happens. But he's like, no, that's stupid. You gotta do the painting, sell the painting. I'm like, no, that's not the way I work.
Yeah, no, it's a different mentality. I worked over in Canada for about 10 years, something like that. But then I got sick of it, and I decided to change direction. I went building log homes over in British Columbia.
Cool.
With a chainsaw. That went good for about a year and a half till I fell off a ladder and broke my hip. And so I'm kind of fixing that at the moment. But there was a guy, there was a no. But it was my own fault. But there was a guy on the log yard called Jay, and he was an artist character as well. And
it's a bit of a bummer because you have it's like you're saying there about the farmers, worried about what the other farm do. They think I'm lazy because they're all in the same kind of thing. It's like coming to terms with the fact that you actually are an artist and there's fuck all you can do about it. You are wired this way.
Yeah.
And it's like that in itself can give you a trauma, especially going like teens to like 30s.
Yeah,
and you're a rock
yeah.
star for like 20
well, because
years.
you're under so much pressure to say you got to fit into this mold, whatever the hell the
and
thing
then
is, and then you're struggling to do it, and then eventually you realize, okay, no, this is me, and now okay.
Acceptance is liberating, though.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Even though you try to kill it with drugs for 20 years, but it's like, I'm still here. Better fucking walk my walk.
Yeah. So what are you aiming at with this podcasting, do you think?
I have no idea. This was only set up, and it was set up initially for the art.
Okay.
Because I got this because we have kids, and they wanted a room of their own, so she kicked me out. So I had to get this. This was in case we were to move, I could bring it with me.
Okay. Yeah.
Whereas the blocks and all that would be waste. So I thought, okay, we'll give it a go, and then started it with the art. I think that went to. I don't know how many I do with that, maybe 20. And this is not working. None of the artists will come in because they're shy or whatever. So I think this sucks. I'm enjoying this. I just gravitate to whatever I'm gravitating to. And I said, yeah, I'm liking this. Fuck it, I'm going to do it. So I just rebranded. Instead of calling it the art studio, call it Blackbird. And the blackbirds are everywhere. You hear them. You don't know what the fuck they're saying. That's me. So I said, fuck it.
Well, yeah, like I was thinking on the way in, I was just going through little strategies about how if you wanted to grow it, what you would do. And
I forget it. Forget it.
Yeah.
I actually came across this lady, an Irish lady up the country, was it yesterday or the day before? And she used to be working in radio. And she's started this podcast. Tis Yourself is the name of the podcast.
Okay.
I know it's not what I'd be into because it's all celebrity stuff and Irish. But then I saw there was a boxer there. So what she calls celebrities, just people who are in the papers.
Okay.
But mainly actors, singers, all of that. And she was I don't know, was it a 10-minute fucking video she did? Please follow my podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
And I thought, fucking fair play to you. That takes balls, you know what I mean? So I fucking subscribed to everything she had everywhere.
Yeah.
And I left it at that. But I won't be doing that. Because I don't have a script. I have no plan. I just try to fucking say try to talk myself into painting more. Because I fell out of it there for about 2 years now. I'd say it's a struggle.
Okay.
And it's, that's not working for me. So none of the stonemasons that I know will come in and talk about the stonework because they're big babies. But the archery people, they're up for it,
Are you mobile? Because it's one thing to get a person to come in and sit down here because it's a bit intimidating. It can be. But if you were to go out to them, like he's very easy to get 2 little microphones and a little fob.
Of course, yeah.
So like what I was thinking, and let's see what you think about this, was that let's say you got a business inside in Fermoy. The first thing that came to mind was the butcher right in the square.
Oh, yeah.
And say go into him and say, look, what I was wondering was, I'll come in, I'll do a little video, we'll walk around, we'll talk about it, and then we'll sit down in the back for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and we'll just talk about what your business, how you got into it, what you're going to do, and then the trade, and I'll post that, and the trade is, you put a poster of my podcast up on your wall, and the customers come in, they see this, and then I'll post it 3 weeks later. And you do that to all the businesses in Fermoy.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but the problem I have with that is I'm too busy. When I do get to go away, it's the Sundays, weekends, we'll say. And because with the European Championships happening in Ireland I don't think I can remember.
Soccer, is it?
Indoor archery.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay.
And it's down in Waterford at the Satu Arena. And I'm like, I want to fucking do that. So I was talking to a buddy of mine, another archer, and he's like, I can get a fucking, those fucking wagons, you sleep in them.
Okay,
it's like
camper trailer or something?
Yes,
okay.
camper van.
Yeah, okay.
He says, I think I can get a camper van, because you give me a camper van, I get you loads of merchandise.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. I mean, when I go to shoots, I'm always chit-chat with people anyway, and we're always having a laugh, and it's a great crack, great vibe, good people, and now more and more I've been bringing, because you got to keep it small so the phone is perfect, because if you go down with a fucking camera, people go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But they're kind of used to seeing me now, saying, oh, this fucking idiot. But, I bring a bit of humour to them, and they cooperate. But I can't believe there's not more people doing archery. It's for as an individual, for your head. I mean, you don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know what I mean? Most of the fucking Olympians look like jelly babies, in my opinion. But for your head, and just to get out in the fresh air. If you saw the woodlands we go to every Sunday, man, because there's like all over the country. Mayo have a super one. Dunbrody, Limerick, they're just everywhere. And you go there for the day, and you have targets like this at all various different angles and distances, and you just have a competition.
There's one in outside Lismore, isn't there, or between Lismore and Capperquin?
Don't know.
As an archery school, I looked up and I saw that. But so where would you go to get a bow then?
The bow. I went to a club. It was a club at the time. Now it's just like a school and a range. But your man there, Dave Lee, he's very much an archer. He takes it very seriously, but he's compound archer, so like Rambo's bow. And I don't like them. I gravitated towards these guys. That's the longbow, and that'd be your normal tribal, but I have to get new limbs for that because I shot that. It's a 50-pound bow. Like, I went to shoot it, and it was just like, what the fuck? And I nearly broke my nose with my own hand. So I have to get new limbs for that because I want to be able to shoot. That's my recurve, but I've a new one now I got as a surprise for my birthday last May, and since I got that fucking thing, because you have to realign yourself with the whole thing, you know what I mean?
But that one's a recurve too, isn't it?
That's a recurve, yeah, but it's you shoot off the shelf there, but someone stuck that on there, and that's the longbow.
Yeah.
And
so you said you need to get new limbs. Is that because when you released it you damaged them, or they were too strong?
They're too strong for me.
Okay.
That'd be like a hunting bow in America, but it's a beautiful bow.
It looks it, yeah.
I bought it out of pure ignorance. That one I was informed about because I did that with the guy who had the archery range. So Now I know the height and I know my draw, my poundage. And
Is
all
that one strung backwards?
It's just unstrung, so it can,
okay. Yeah,
you're not meant to have them strung.
Yeah,
the first bow I got was the missus got it from my birthday, I think. But we had it, then the baby was right, taking fast, and fuck. So I had to hang the bow up. We were both doing it, like, and it was strung up for 10 years. And in a room where we're always smoking, because it's out by the back door. And it's like, that's where we smoke, otherwise we kill people. And then I took the bow down, we found out about Galty archery. Started going there using that bow. And it was a fucking dinger. Strung for 10 years and was still shooting super, like, you know. So, no, it's, you can get them online, but it's always best to go to a club or to
there was one up in Cove, and I was going to go to them.
In Cove?
Yeah, it was up in Cove, yeah, but I don't know, is there a nearer one? Then I'm out in Tallow and Connie Waterford there.
Tallow, well, there's a bunch of them in fucking Waterford, but I find them always fucking driving 2 hours, so any shoot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've the one in Care, the Red Fox Archers, I'm in with them at the moment. But there's always something happening, there's always some developments, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I found a lot of people think this is a fucking archery podcast. And I'm like, what? No, it's not. Like, yes, it is. That's all you fucking bitch and moan about. But so look, it's like a painting. You might have an idea, but then you realize that it's a shit idea, and the painting is just you're following something that is like, because there's something Joe Rogan said once that blew my mind. It was like, because someone else be thinking similar, is like, where do thoughts come from? Do you think you manufacture and recognize a thought, or do you simply recognize a thought? Where do they come from? And it's like, when I'm painting, sometimes it feels like that. It's like you're just watching. Someone else is fucking pulling the strings. So it's like there's always this affinity with this ethereal quality that you want to just latch onto and say, what the fuck's going on? And get more acquainted with your fuller self. But it's yet to happen, because I'm the fucking soul of a clown. In the worst possible moment, I just kick myself in the nuts. But it's,
as in, if you're painting something, you lose concentration, and and
I fumble the ball. I take my eye off the prize, and I start thinking I can make it better than I can see where it's going, ish. And then I think it'd be better if I did it this way, and then I fuck it up. That painting, I had horses up in where was it? Araglin. In a field up in Ireland somewhere. There was about, 15 horses with riders getting ready for a hunt run. And I got the house out of the photo that I took, and I got something, I just put in a landscape that I preferred. And 6 months I was working on that painting. The horses, I put them in too small, and then I got stuck in the detail, and then everything started looking like little sculptures. And then I just came in one day and I looked at it and said, it's even boring. So I just fucking painted over the whole thing, and in 2 weeks, this is what happened. So that's what happened. 6 months gone.
Yeah.
And this is what you have then instead. It's the same with this. I started this one, but I've a good feeling I'm going to finish this one now, but I just want to get that big one finished first. I only started that about a week ago.
Yeah. Which, look, you'll find whatever it is. As long as you keep at it, you never fail. Like,
100%. I mean, the way I see it is you gotta trust yourself to the point where, like, if you've an instinctive, it's like an obligation to yourself to, like, you're here for whatever reason. Everyone's telling you what to do, how to do, how to be, blah 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 blah. You gotta just say fuck off. You can't. Because I find when you start using your normal, like, emotional language, as I like to call it, because she's always like, why are you swearing like that? That's disgusting. And I'm like, fuck off. I'm Irish. This is how we talk. Because it's like, it gets rid of the idiots. People who are just about showing how they, aren't I a good person? Aren't I all? And then you say, you're a fucking idiot. And then if they get a rate, great, not to talk to them anymore. They're not genuine, they're not real. There's too many zombies. And I don't like zombies, because they're just clutter.
Yeah, a lot of it is about saying no to stuff that, because when you're
young.
younger...
Do you have kids?
Because when you're younger, no.
Dude, say no is not an option. Jesus Christ. I wish. They'd fucking break your brain. They'd break your brain.
Yeah.
But then like that, then the fuckers just, it is true. Like you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Off you go, you know. But geez, I hate to see what kind of world they're gonna walk into in their adult life.
It's hard to know, you know, because a lot of people are stressed out. They think the world is coming to an end, but
that's always been the case.
you got to put it in perspective, you know, because like around the time of the Second World War, it's pretty bad, you know, and I bet people were worried about what was going to happen then, you know, but it didn't, you know, because like when you break it down, this is the best time in the world ever to be alive.
Without a doubt, here we are. I mean, I'm gonna have
we're living like kings, and we don't, and we can't take. We're not.
We've
humble.
lost
we're
our
not,
discipline.
we're not humble enough about
we're
what
not
it is.
hungry enough.
We're not grateful enough about everything that was done before to give us the pleasure we have. You know.
Yeah, it's like everyone has the phone, but no one knows how it actually works. Do you know what I mean? They're
disconnected.
To know.
They're disconnected. Yeah.
And I'll be like, I'd like to know, but I know I'll forget as soon as I know. But I'll have some understanding of it.
But I even see phone usage dropping off in the near future. It might seem silly to say it, but
no, it's gonna transition
because AI is developing to such a point that, you know, almost already there's almost no. I'm trusting less and less anything I see that comes out of that screen.
100%.
And even when it comes to conversations, you'll talk, you know, because the information is digitized now, in and out. You know, I just wonder about even the conversations you will have in the future. You know, it's.
Well, I think it's good to
go back. I think the letter is coming back. Unpost is going to have a lot of business in the next 10 years. I think
back to the radio. The pirate radio station is the way to go.
What was it? Radio Luxembourg on the boat somewhere?
My dad had a pirate radio station once.
Did he?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay.
It was fucking cool, man. But they were mental. They just made a radio station. Yeah. But you know, these farms and the new idea. Well, I say the new. It sounds like to me that's the way it should have always been. But is there any farmer or farmers in Ireland that are currently running their show this way?
There are. There's a bunch of them that are doing it, but they're very, very early in terms of their progression. And there's a couple of farmers that are doing it, and they have kind of sidelines. Like there's one guy, Clive Bright, and he's an artist actually, you know. Right. But he's got quite a low stock density, from what I understand. But then you got a guy, Fergal Smith, out on the west coast. He was like a world class surfer, and he's got a garden out there, Moy Hill Farm. And
sorry, Sam.
A big rat out there somewhere.
Fucking black dog. What the fuck? You scared the shit out of us. Out of me.
I'm fucking in here in about an hour.
Don't go away before I finish. I need you to drill those for the holes. Good man. Brother David.
There you go.
His fucking target got destroyed. He had a nice big fucking target for the archery.
Okay.
The timber rotted. And I came home from work one day and all this shit is all over the fucking shop, man. So he's fixing that up there now for a new target. But yeah, I was just thinking if they're so, because even gardeners would surely, they're probably already, because my mother is green fingered as it gets. You can give her any farm, and within 5 years she'll be looking for another farm because she won't have room for all the shit she's growing. But she's I've tried and failed. Like in the last 3 years, I set up greenhouse, try to grow shit, and then the winds up here are nuts. You wouldn't realize how high up you are here. It's weird, and the thing got mangled. It got mangled, and then I had the veggie boxes, but then the cattle came in and they fucked the whole lawn up. You couldn't even mow the lawn because you break your ankle just walking over the place. Yeah. So I'm like, what the fuck? I came out one day and there was a bull. I mean, I'm not joking. His fucking head, man, was that wide. It's like a dinosaur. I was coming out to run the cattle, and then this fucking buck was there. Yeah. Big fucking massive head. I'm like, you're grand. I just went back in. I'm like, fuck this.
No, you don't mess with those guys.
No. There's a lot of deaths by bull, isn't there, in Ireland?
There would be, but you actually get more injuries from cows, to be fair, because people kind of know the bull, you don't screw around it, but a lot of sometimes my uncle now had a bad injury with it where he got trapped because he went in to tend to the calf, and the cow was extremely, because she's hyped up with her hormones, they're extremely protective for that few hours, and so he got pinned, and a bunch of people do. You know, I was attacked 2 years ago by a cow in that way, but I was lucky I didn't get caught by it. But yeah.
It's natural course. You just don't associate it like.
No, you don't mess with them. You don't mess with them. So, but to answer your question, there's a bunch of farmers getting into it, They're at various different levels, and some will do it, and then there's a tendency to drop back out of it because if some kind of pressure comes on, it's very easy to leave your animals in the field longer than you would.
Yeah.
And then they graze it down, and then that kind of ruins your system a little bit. So
you need discipline, like
you need discipline, and you need to get everybody involved so that if you're not there, there's a plan. A lot of it's called holistic plan grazing. So you'll have a plan, and it'll say which field you're going into. So if you're going to go away, the next person who's you delegated will know to move them into these places.
Yeah.
So that the pattern works, and then you might put in on your plan that you're going on vacation this time, and the whole idea is to plan around various features that are on the farm.
Right.
But like for example, you might have birds that are nesting in a particular area, and you say in spring, and you say we won't go into that field, we'll let them nest, and so so you're engaging with all of the different things because you want to be holistic in your approach to it.
Is that something to do with the reason why I see these campaigns coming into the summer months where it's like no lawnmower in May, don't take out your lawnmower in May?
Yeah, I don't know if that was about the birds or was it just the fact
bees or something.
Maybe. Yeah. I see that.
Because we had ours up to the height of the table up on stage, and I loved it. I thought
Yeah.
the dogs looked cool going through it, and the kids. We have some beautiful photos of it, and I was like, when it came to cutting it, it was a motherfucker, man.
Yeah.
But in the
You
moment,
need a scythe out there when you're going to go for it. Yeah.
because I've only started cutting it this summer like regularly again, and it's like. Then this fucking dog from nowhere shows up and he's ripping the goddamn thing apart. I don't know, is it because she's in heat? I don't think it is, because he was there starting before, because I was blaming her.
Okay.
But the missus said, look, I have her on the fucking leech thing. I'm stupid. Of course I'm going to tell her, stop. But it's this fucking happy head coming in. I met him last Saturday for the first time. I was coming in there to actually go painting or something. And I don't know what the fuck he is. Is he like a poodle kind of thing? The weirdest hair you'll ever see.
He just wanders down the road to you?
Yeah, he's just up by the church somewhere.
Okay.
But he's I was going to kick the hole off him, like I was going full violence.
What's he doing? What, like he's digging holes or what?
Coming in, shitting everywhere and ripping up the lawn. I mean, there's holes all over the goddamn place.
Something buried there, eh?
I'm burying him there. But when I called him then, and I was like, I'll trick him to come close enough to me so I can kick him.
Water hose.
I was just having my first coffee. I was cranky. He was going to get it. But he had this happy fucking head about him. And it just broke the spell straight away of rage. And you're like, maybe he's not so bad. It's kind of shit out there anyway. It's all wild grass. Because I wouldn't be a fan of like mowing the lawn all the fucking time. I like to see a little bit of crazy going on. A little bit of wild going on. I mean, we get loads of butterflies, bees, wasps, blackbirds, robins, crows, and there's some kind of bullfinches there and hawks.
And that's one of the problems with the farming thing as well, is that the farmers have been convinced that their fields need to look like a golf course.
Yeah, that's
with a little longer. And it's a monocrop. It's just one grass, ryegrass, and and because you don't have and in that kind of field, if you let cattle into that kind of field, the older cows will always go to the edge. Because what they're looking for is the diverse things that are coming over that are growing over the wire.
Yeah.
And that's what they use to medicate themselves. Because and that's one of the big advantages, you mentioned it earlier, of having the diverse crop, is that you end up with the nutrients that keep them and they can build their body properly, and then they can treat themselves. You know, and one of the advantages why beef is better is that you can put all the animals together.
I love beef.
And the advantage is the calves then see the older cattle and see what they're eating and the way they're eating. But the big advantage with it is that if you've got a farm, because most people think, if I was to ask you what causes overgrazing, you'd probably say too many animals, because that's what everybody thinks. But what this guy Alan Savory figured out is not. It's not too many animals. It's the length of time that they hit a piece of ground, and then the length of the rest time is timing. Yeah. So if you put the animals in, and you put them in for a short period, like a day, they can trample everything to the ground. After it gets about 3 days, you start to do damage that takes a long time to recover, or takes time to recover. But then if you can let them out and let that field rest for as long as possible in this environment, anywhere between 30 and 60, or maybe 90 days in the growing season, then it comes back. And whatever grows above grows below. And the key thing is that, in terms of the water cycle, is as the roots grow down, they break up the soil. And the key thing is to try and store the water, because when the dry time comes, you can actually grow grass. Because this year, like The farming community will complain about how there's droughts in the summer. There's no droughts in the summer.
No.
It's the fact that the
I
land.
wish.
It's the fact that the land is weak, and it can't. It can't.
It's not covered.
No, it's not covered, but also because it hasn't broken up the soil and created the sponge.
Yeah.
It hasn't stored the water.
Right.
So when the dry time comes, where you've done this properly, and you got the ground covered, but you've broken up the ground, you've got a well of water in the ground, so you can literally grow hay when no one else can, because the roots are accessing this water that you've stored in the ground, and the key to storing it is you have to have carbon in the soil. Whatever amount of carbon, let's say you put a kilogram of carbon into a cubic meter of soil, you can store 10 to 20 times that amount of water. So there's a farm, for example, we went to. It's called Eru Farm. A guy Noel Higgins, and it's kind of on limestone area, very loamy, sandy soil. Now, so they have no problem with the water going in, but because they don't have carbon in the soil, it's going straight down into bedrock.
Right.
So what they need to do is they need to build up soil, and once they get to that critical point where they're starting to hold water through the dry period, it'll take off, because then they'll have all the carbohydrates and stuff that are being squirted into the soil to feed the microbes, because it's a wild system once you understand it. Have you ever heard of a thing called the rhizophagy cycle?
No.
This will blow your mind now. Well, I might do. I find it interesting. See if you find it interesting.
Do you ever, before you go what you said there about above, so below kind of thing about...
Yeah.
I saw some guy do an impression of an oak tree.
Yeah.
And then it's like he sliced the earth.
Yeah.
And the roots were nearly the same shape as the tree above the ground.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. And that's what will happen with grasses. Like grasses in the prairies, they can grow down about 2 meters.
Really?
Huge big roots, and they grow down. But like there's even clover, for example. On this farm, they dug a pit, and the clover root was down 4 feet. Now they didn't have a lot of them because it's trying to go down and find the water because with them it's dropping down, you know. And the sand they could go into it. The rhizophagy cycle. So most people think of how the nutrients kind of absorb into the root in some kind of a way, and that's what happens with most roots. And this is the difference. In the traditional system, the roots tend to be only in the top 4 inches, and the reason they're only in the top 4 inches is because they're getting fertilizer from the top. They have no incentive to go deep. So they're hooked on meth, basically. They're meth addicts, and they're staying up there and they're only growing there. So when the dry time comes, they have no roots to go down to get the water, even if it was there, because they're not built for it. So all the grass will just stop growing over the summer period. Well, it's the best time to grow grass. Yes. But what you have is this thing called the rhizophagy cycle. So around the edge of all the roots, as it starts to grow and it's building carbohydrates, it squirts out sugars into the soil, and that's what feeds the microbes in the soil, and they start to aggregate and cling onto the roots, and you get this kind of a network of soil that will bind onto the roots. But here's what it gets weirder. There's various bacteria and organisms in there, and what they're doing is they're moving around in the soil and they're building their bodies out of the nutrients and the minerals that are in the soil. But then some of them will be absorbed into the root. The root strips the skin, the shell, off of the bacteria, and then squirts it back out with a little bit of sugar. They call it exudates, where they exudate this sugar to squirt out. And then somehow, and they don't understand this fully, the implication is that there is some kind of a signal giving to that bacteria in terms of the nutrients that the plant wants. And then they migrate around it. So this system is ongoing, where the plant is farming the microbes to acquire the nutrients it needs to grow.
That's mental.
And that's one layer, but you also have the other layer where you have the soluble. And this is called the rhizophagy cycle, and that's a cycle. And the rhizome is the rhizosphere is basically this zone around the roots where this activity can occur. And as the roots get deeper and deeper, this is going, and this whole network develops over time. And the reason why it's important to keep the ground covered is 2 things. So once this develops, the roots are breaking up the soil, the water is going in, oxygen is coming in, they breathe oxygen, and then the carbon dioxide is there and it comes out. And the soil breathes this in and out, and it's got this network.
Yeah.
Then if you overgraze your ground and have it bare, what happens is when the rain hits the soil surface, it disturbs the particles in the top, and they move in and they block up the access to below. and they cause a thing called capping. They create a cap. It can be only a couple of millimeters thick, but that does two things. One, it stops the moisture going in, so you can't store anymore, but it also stops the oxygen going in.
Right.
So they start to run out of oxygen. It stops the carbon dioxide coming out, so they start to choke up. And what happens is you actually kill off the microorganisms in your population. So one of the key principles to holistic management is to armor the soil, either by trampling stuff down, so you create a kind of a mesh of vegetation that will become mulch. Yeah. It's food for the soil, but it also protects it, and also to grow things, so you always have something growing a network. What you want is the raindrops to hit the leaf, flow down along the stem, and then just go into the soil. And as long as that continues, then you can store as much water as you want. And so that's one of the mechanisms. That's how we fix the water cycle, is by protecting it, and protecting that. Once you create the sponge effect, what you want to do is you want to maintain it. You can imagine if you had a bit of clay and you just sprinkled it over the top of a sponge, the water couldn't get in anymore. It caps it. Yes. As it dries out, it fills up the spaces. And that's what the rain does when it hits the surface. Because you can imagine on a small level, it's like it's a water bomb that's just hit the soil. Yeah. And so the small little grains of clay and stuff, they get knocked around, and they slowly just block up the micro cracks that are developed by the fungi and the roots and all the rest of it. So
they get fucked up. Yeah. But when you cut a lawn,
yes,
are you better off to leave the grass cuttings just fly onto the lawn and leave them there?
That's a tricky question, because it's an unnatural situation, cutting a lawn, because if you just leave it there, it's probably a net good, I would say, but one of the other reasons that you have to integrate animals with pasture land is that you can have what you're talking, debris that kind of gets old. Yeah. Or because you got different parts of the life cycle of plants. You got the juvenile, you got the mature, and you got the larger scale. And so a lot of what happens is you might have plants that kind of die, they go senescent because they get old. They need to be trampled into the ground. Okay. They have to be trampled down in contact with it, because you have another layer of fungi. Because you get the mycorrhizal fungi is the kind of network that goes across the whole field once you develop, and they communicate. Kind of like the Avatar story, where it was the whole planet was communicating. And
you said they don't.
Did you ever watch the
Japanese movie? I looked this cool thing on YouTube with these Japanese guys. Okay. And they were going on about that they could measure a communication with a forest with its individual trees, and when we say maybe there's a storm, a tree is fucked up and it's still alive, but it's doing poorly. So they're like, look, John over there is doing very poorly. Let's fucking get all our nutrients and send it his way. And this happens. They have observed this repeatedly.
Yeah. No, it seems to be the case. I haven't studied it, but I don't see how it could be otherwise.
Neither do I.
Once you have the network established, but just to go back to the point is that you have a different kind of bacteria that kind of exists at the soil surface called I can never say the word, saprophytic fungi, and that's what breaks down stuff that's squashed onto the ground. All right. So if you're cutting your grass and it's kind of sitting just above the ground, it can kind of oxidize and it kind of off gases stuff and it'll turn white rather than brown. But if it's squashed onto the ground, then the microbes and the worms and everything, they get access to it and it'll turn brown. It'll be absorbed back into the system. And this is one of the big problems that happens very much in the arid climates, because you'll have vegetation will grow and it'll just stand up there, and it can, like for example, if a tree fell down in an arid climate, it could stay there for 50 years. Nothing would happen to it. It would just oxidize slowly. But here, because we have the moisture and the humidity, it will eventually get decomposed. But so especially in the arid, this is why we need the big herds in the arid parts of the world, because they have to be able to trample the grasses down, because the new grass won't come up from the bottom unless you can trample everything down and the new grass can get access to the sunlight. Right. So there's a bunch of different systems going on, and also that capping effect that occurs. Yeah. That can be very extensive over in the arid climates, and it's so strong that even the seeds can't push up through it. And why you need the big herd is you need the herd to come in close together, and they peck and they break up the surface. So they break up the surface, they shit and they piss everywhere. They inoculate the soil with microbes that are cultivated in their own gut, and they inoculate the soil, and they're also passing off seeds. But there's a seed bank, and that seed bank is waiting for the impact of, all that activity, they basically do a micro cultivating of the surface and they fertilize it and then off it goes. But it has to happen on a reasonably regular interval, or else it'll go back to desert, which is what we've got. And that's the reason that we've got a lot of what have we got, because you build country boundaries, you build roads and fences, and the herds are not migrating like they used to.
Yeah.
So that system is broken, and we've no idea how good this can get in terms of the biodiversity, because before the last ice age, there was herds of bloody mammoths going around. They weren't eating clover. Do you know what I mean? Like the amount of vegetation that had to be there to sustain the megafauna that existed before the last ice age, when they were all killed off by the meteors that came then. But
what if we get another ice age or a mini ice age? That would be kind of
we're in an ice age. Like technically, we're in an ice age.
I know technically
we're just in we're in an interglacial period because the poles are covered in ice.
Yeah.
So we're still in that same old period. But you mean like where the glaciers come back down, down? Yeah. I don't know if anyone can predict it won't happen. It's going to happen reasonably slowly. Although, have you ever heard of a guy called Randall Carlson?
Yes. Randall's mental.
Yeah. I'd like to get onto one of his tours over in the US, because I was trained as a geologist, so I love. I see that kind of landscape, because like in the same way as you look at things and you see things in a particular way. Once I studied geology, I will look at a landscape. I climb a mountain. I don't really see the beauty of it.
Yeah.
I see the mechanisms that carved it out of the earth, and made it become what it is. And I understand the structure of the mountain building and all the things that happen to a point. Like if you don't use it, you lose a little bit. So the technical aspects, but the broader strokes of how it occurs, I used to love that, and I understand that. So Randall Carlson, what he's talking about, and the Younger Dryas impact theory and all of that. I don't see. He's like a lot of areas. You've got the geology area. You'll have the medical science area. A lot of the advances always occur at the edges. The dogma maintains the center. And they say, the old line that progress occurs one funeral at a time. It's when the old men whose reputations are because their reputations are dependent upon things.
That's so sad. That's so tiny-minded.
It's understandable though.
It's not. It's unacceptable.
Well, perhaps.
I think it's absolutely fucking mental health issues with that attitude. You're dealing with, we'll say, you're trying to investigate and solve the puzzle of history, so you can hopefully safeguard the future of your species. But you're being a cunt because you think your book is the best book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get laid, get stoned, get drunk, just get out of here and stop wasting everyone's time. Sure.
True. Look, you're not wrong. It would be better if it would be that way. But there are people. Maybe it's just the incentive structure. I don't know. People are being made to be afraid because they don't have courage. They're worried that if this new idea comes along, that it'll destroy them, and they don't believe that they can start again or they can adapt. And people get comfortable.
Comfort is a killer.
People get comfortable and they acquire status. And status drives almost everything. Like you see it in schools, whatever way a child is acting.
The captain of the football team gets off the girls.
It could be anything, and the other kids will say, "Okay, that's how you get attention. I want to be like this."
Yeah.
Do you know? And this is social. This is how social contagions develop.
But I like to think that most people will say the likes of YouTube, because I think it's all a fucking trap. The whole internet business, and I think AI, I'm bored with it. I'm just bored with that shit right now, and I think it's another scam. I don't think you hear people who are under this delusion that it can become like a sentient entity. That is beyond fucking retarded, in my opinion.
Why so?
How can a man, unless he's got a woman involved, it's not happening. And even at that, it's beyond the two of them. Once they're just the physical mechanics for something that no one still today can say, well, it's because of this. They can just say, well, in that moment in time, there was a pulse of electricity, and now you have a life form growing in your body. Up until that's all I got. So you're telling me a fucking man and these other fucking idiots with all the bullshit that goes on with, like, well, I wrote a book, and the book says we should do it this way, and my reputation is fairly sound, so let's do that now, because I'm retiring soon, I'm getting to watch, so let's make my name in front and center, let's all be good. it's
I lost you there. You're talking about AI.
AI, yeah.
How do you mean?
It's the dogma. It's just another captured fucking story. It's like Elon Musk with his fucking brain chip. They were doing that in England in the 60s, for fuck's sake. It was discarded for reasons that I've yet to understand.
Look, you could be right. Like you could be right that there's a philosopher.
You're just on repeat. We're on repeat. That's all.
In regards to what I'm.
The same bullshit. It's just a different clothes. And
Are you talking about the tech bubble?
All of it, yeah.
Okay.
Anything you want to pick, point your finger at anything, and it's just a different stage of a repeated fucking narrative.
Well, it could be in cycles, I suppose. Because there was a guy called Ray Kurzweil. He wrote a book called The Singularity, and what he was calculating was computation, the cost of computation over time, and so like whatever it is increasing at an inordinate speed, and so like assuming the current level of development, if it's not if it's not broken, well, I mean of computational capacity, then
that's like saying if I run fast enough, I'll go back in time. Which is just the problem is, look, you have too many theories, not enough facts. There's people talking in universities about fucking the ape fucking story as if it's a real deal. It's a fucking theory. Cop the fuck on. The Big Bang as if it's a real deal.
Okay.
The ignorance of man is fucking mind blowing. And I'm thinking, I'm the idiot. I listen to ye talk your shit. I can't believe it.
So what's your position on the Big Bang then?
It's bullshit. Okay. And we're here ready made. There's no evolution. We are who we are from design. End of. There's bigger questions than that, though.
Well, that's a pretty big question. Like as I can understand the impetus to think that way, but I don't know. Look, and I've thought that, I've considered that many times, but I don't know.
But when you described everything you were describing there about the under the ground, all those little, all of that with the roots and whatnot. To think that just happened by happenstance over time is crazy. That's clear, beautifully poetic design. Everything on the planet.
Well, it depends what you mean. It depends
in sync with everything else.
It depends what you mean. It depends what you mean by design. Like one of the advantages that I found with geology or studying geology is that when you're thinking about, like, it's very, very difficult to visualize 100 million years.
Dude, last weekend is difficult.
It's very, very difficult. No, but like, because that length of time. But when you study geology, you start to understand, because you learn about all the processes that occur. And once you learn about the processes that occur, it fills up that time very, very quickly, and you understand it an awful lot better. And when you can understand it an awful lot better, then this evolutionary process, it fits into it.
That's all well and good talking about water and rock and, wind and whatnot. But when you're dealing with biology, that's a no-no.
Okay, well.
I mean, it's a hobby of mine to go down all these rabbit holes. If I find one thing interesting, I look for, like, all variations on it from various different people's different backgrounds, different ideas. Because usually there's, like, a bit of ego bashing going on between people in a particular discipline or whatever. And it's you want to bypass all of that. You want to bypass their religious beliefs, because it's just like, just give me someone who's going on facts. Just pointing the fucking.
It's
camera
interesting that you're so dependent on facts. You're leaning that heavily.
But the facts
but being an artistic person.
But are you still? I still want to know why I fucking paint.
Yeah.
It's the drive. It's the fire. It's the fuel. And I don't know what the fuck.
Look, I'm open to what actually is the truth. But all I can do is say what I think based upon the information I've acquired.
Yeah.
But I did see an interesting interview. It was Jordan Peterson and these three other guys, a mathematician and various kind of scientists, and they were basically talking to the point that, for the randomness that is specified in terms of how mutations occur and changes will occur, that there physically wasn't enough time using mathematical models for all of the changes to occur to fit evolution into the time scale. That was on a basic mathematical model system, the way they calculated it. Now, I don't know enough about their models to know whether what they're saying is true.
Well, they can
But-
be tailored to make it true for them.
Well, you know,
That's okay.
and these people are quite religious in their leanings.
that's-
So I'm skeptical, and I'll remain skeptical. But you know, it's so how did you come to this conclusion that we've always been here? And if we've always, like, was there never a beginning? Did it, you know?
There was, I would say there was, like, you have your Europeans, you have your Asians. I would say there was something like that, but with the species. So it was like maybe a 5-prong species, kind of where they all had something, you know, a majority shared something. So you have like, what do they call those fucking guys with the big heads?
The big.
You know the guys I'm talking about?
I don't know who. Where are these people from?
They're like the caveman is
Oh, Neanderthals.
yes,
Okay.
Neanderthals, and there was some. I was watching an
There's
interesting.
there's the Denisons, the Devonians, or
Where are all the skeletons? That's what I want to know. There was no graveyard ceremony per se. Everything would be. I mean, even Native Americans most of the time would have them up in a tree. A lot of them would have anyway.
Well,
if they didn't burn them.
what Randall Carlson's talking about is somewhat of a suggestion there, you know, because if you think about how things have evolved, whatever, if the sea level has risen so much, most people would have been living by the sea, but that's all swallowed up now.
Yeah.
Plus, if you had massive floods, most of the settlements possibly could have been just washed off into the deep, down into the deep, you know. So and under that kind of pressure, the bones, from what I understand, when you get deep, the pressure of the calcite will actually dissolve, you know.
Yeah, look, you want to be a seismic fuck up of a disaster.
But so you think we were here, but like, what's your origin story, or do you have one?
I don't have one.
Okay.
I just know a lie when I hear a lie, and I think this fucking bullshit they're spinning is pure bullshit.
Yeah, do you know what? It
It's
wouldn't.
just they're all afraid to say it's bullshit. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes scenario.
Yeah.
And it's that in every fucking division.
You're
every
very sure about
department.
it.
Yes.
What makes you so sure?
It's just a feeling.
Yeah.
I just got a feeling.
No. Yeah.
I'm good.
It wouldn't
at
surprise.
arguing
It
with
wouldn't
people,
surprise.
like,
It
you know
wouldn't
what I mean?
surprise me if it's.
I can see bullshit a mile away. I might be wrong about why it's bullshit, but you can be sure it's bullshit.
Okay.
Someone with a brain will say, "Oh, this is why." It goes, "I fucking know it." It's like you stay away from TV, you stay away from programming and all that shit, and you just go out and fucking just pick the dirt, look at the trees, watch the way the fucking morning will just burst through the fucking, you know, that fog you get on the landscape. It's like someone just flicked on a switch and you've 3D, everything pops. It's magic. That's beyond I think it truly is beyond our comprehension to go beyond, well, I'm up, I gotta go to work. Because that's what we've been doctored down to. And there's loads of fucking evidence there about the way they fucked with the education system on a global scale in 1905 onwards.
The Prussian model.
So everything from then forward is fucking suspect. Like, it's a little bit of truth with a lot of bullshit.
Well, it was designed. I was based on the Prussian model where they wanted to produce with soldiers.
Yeah.
Soldiers and workers.
But
yeah.
it's more than that again. It's just the nefarious fucking people involved in it's just not. There's no. My biggest problem is accepting that everyone is bad. I'd like to think everyone can be reached. That there's a light in everybody that has just suffered so much that they're nasty. But some people I'll make an exception for, and say, fuck it, if I got a chance, I do it myself with my fucking bare hands. You know, when I see people just come out clearly fucking stupid. See, that's another problem I have. People assume that individuals with great wealth are very intelligent, very capable. And they're fucking not. Most of the time they're fucking retards who got lucky. Or they inherited or whatever. Or they just fucking robbed someone's thing and sold it. They're seldom genuine bona fide. Even Elon Musk's questions abound about his actual intellect in regards to what he's taken. No, I did this. Did you though?
I hadn't heard that.
There's plenty about. You don't have to look fucking far. There's a lot of, I like Elon Musk, but I want my heroes to be fucking real. There's a lot of suspicion about him that I just can't get the hair in the back of my neck to go down.
Well, it's no surprise all of his ventures are designed towards building a civilization on Mars. All of them. Like you have the tunneling venture.
And AI.
You have the tunneling venture. Well, yeah, I'm not sure about that part, but
I think he's a marketing genius. That I am absolutely sure about.
He spends a lot of time thinking. There's no doubt about it. There was a guy who was talking about the fact that some people are, a certain percentage signal and some signal noise, a certain percentage noise, and he said that Steve Jobs was, 95% signal, so he could focus, and 5% noise, and he says Elon Musk is 100% signal. He just doesn't get distracted unless he chooses to be distracted.
I'd say he's a very manipulative individual.
Look, if you want to get done what you want to get done, but like there's an old line that's never appeal to gratitude or mercy, always appeal to self-interest. So if you want to get someone to do something, you have to be able to, if you want to tell them something, you have to listen to that person first,
Oh, yes.
And you want to be able to show that whatever you're presenting to them is of value to them, because otherwise you have to keep pushing them. You want a person to do something because they want to do it.
So they have to see kindness. You kill them with kindness, and that's letting them know that they've been listened to and that you understand them and that you're in their corner. Then they're more...
Is that right?
I don't know if it's right. I can't believe you don't smoke, god damn it, and you broke a hip and everything. You didn't think to have a cigarette.
I used to smoke, but
this is the longest I've gone without a cigarette.
You're getting tense.
I'm twitchy. I love cigarettes. I love them.
Yeah. Well, I used to love them too, but it's
the rollies I love. I don't like the cigarettes. I gave up the cigarettes. 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah. And I used to smoke years ago, but it severely affected me, and I just thought, no, I'm going to get rid of these because they're just going to kill me. So. And
life is going to kill you, dude.
Yeah, but I want to be as healthy for as long as I can be healthy.
Well, if you keep walking up the knock me down mountains with those fucking dogs, you're going to be fine, I'd say. Yeah, I go up the road there in the morning with Kaya, and I'm like, I need a coffee. I'm after taking up is a Tai Chi. Okay. Just something to do at home while you're waiting for the kettle to boil. It's so easy. As in, like,
it's being advertised heavily, isn't it?
That's a curiosity, isn't it? But everything is being advertised. It's like if you pick at a thread of a thought of a question and you go into your device, then you're inundated with every fucking aspect on that question. So
President Xi is listening.
So, look.
But if you talk to someone, that topic will pop up in a video later on.
100%, without a doubt. But that was the case from day dot.
Yeah.
People, that's why it's called the net. Who said that? I heard some crazy... Well, I thought they were crazy. Now I just think there's truth seekers who just get they get too close to the fucking seeking that they forget you have a life to live as well, You need a balance. Balance is fundamental to you having,
Yeah, it's a trick, like...
everything is like...
Yeah, well, it depends how your circumstances are because, maybe you just don't have a choice because you got dependents, you got kids and something like that. That's a hell of a thing.
That's only a moment in time.
You sacrifice your happiness for them, So so
that's lovely.
Yeah,
but I mean, it doesn't have to be all bad. Obviously it's not because they are stopped having kids, haven't they? So we're told.
Well, this is because they can't see a future, and this is a lot of what I'm talking.
Do you think that would stop most men? I'll give it a go. We'll see what happens. Men will be happy to have kids.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's stopping the kids.
It's the women that have been subjected with this fucking feminist bullshit for the last I don't know how long.
Well, that is
the biggest fucking lie they ever swallowed.
It's a communist story.
It's fucking sad. I mean, that goes back to from day before we're even born. We're being fucking hit with propagandas from left, right, everywhere, and we never stood a chance. But you do wake up to yourself and you do have that fire or that rage that like, how the fuck dare they? And you do think, wait a minute, I am a king of kings. Fuck you. Who the fuck are you to have ownership over me? And then that fire builds in you. And next thing you know, I think I'll fucking torch the place. You just get that notion and you're looking for like-minded people. Like, what can we fucking do, guys? But unfortunately, it's like I said, I think the parenting thing, obviously there's a time frame on that where it's really captivating you and your time, and that's probably 15 to 20 years. After that, you can kind of sit back a bit, hopefully. If you've done okay, they're going to do okay. And because I keep getting caught up with these fucking ideologies or philosophies that no matter what I think, I try to be as like, you know, I don't want to tell him what to do in regards to like what to study, what to be in life. I mean, Sebastian 6, he's full sure he's going to be a farmer. Full sure. There's no getting around it. Like, and I'm like, I introduce you to Sam. You'll have a good chat. Junior then, because he's autistic. He's just. I say because he's autistic. I don't even like that I say that, but it's the only way to get it.
To describe it.
Yeah. When he's meltdowns, he's a fucking psycho. But I mean, then I'm thinking, I remember I used to have a bit of a temper. That's all it is. And he's hormonal. He's that age. He's 12. Creative as a motherfucker. I mean, this guy fill a book in an hour. And it'd be all good. You know, I'm like, maybe I can rob some of his ideas.
His brain is still developing. For men, apparently, it doesn't develop until you're like
30s.
mid to late 20s. Is it that long, is it? 30s. Yeah. So, look, it takes a long time
Mine
to
is
figure
still
out.
fucking like, where are we? What are we doing? I don't know. Follow the cue. But so by the time they're in their 20s, they're gonna abandon you anyway. They're gonna be full of their own fire to go and say, I want to do this, but I gotta go over to that country that country.
I think all you can do is give them the skills to adapt.
Yes,
as best you can. And that book I was talking about, the Hunter Gatherer's Guide, they talk about hyper novelty, because previous generations, your father or grandfather, they could teach their kid how to live in the world because it was going to be roughly the same as the world they lived in.
Oh yeah.
But because of the hyper novelty, things that are changing so quickly, it's very, very difficult for a father to teach his son how to act in the world, because it's going to be so different. So all he can do is trying to teach him how to be resilient and be strong and be adaptable.
Yeah.
And trying to live to certain principles, you know. And with kids,
that's all you can do though.
With kids, they're looking for something to imitate all the time. So if you're the parent, they're looking at you and say, okay, or they're looking for whatever, some kind of a figure, especially with young boys. I think. I don't think maybe it's no different with girls, but it's different. It's different with boys because girls are brought into adulthood biologically, you know, when they have their first period. But boys, they used to always be kind of an initiation in old tribal cultures, you know, to say, okay, you're a man, and there was a test of some sort, and that's how you knew, you know, and you're brought
the man
into
thing. But I think both sexually are initiated into adulthood. Beyond everyone else, every individual is, be it psychologically, there's a fucking something happens in your head someday, next thing whoa, you see the world completely different.
But you can have a man like you've men. Like, there's a lot of men out there who they're still sitting in their basement playing computer games. Like,
but that's just a curiosity. That's not a negative or a positive. It's just at the moment a curiosity.
Well, I don't think they haven't been forced into manhood.
Up. A lot of them just give up. Like,
they
don't want to work and live the life, this format that's gone before them.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Aspiring to something, you have to have something that you can improve and build, and a target. You know.
But here, level 2. That's what they're aspiring.
So, like you, for example, like you're aspiring to become that artist. You know that is out there somewhere, and you're trying to find it, whatever it is, and you're trying to work yourself into that being. You know. And a lot of the reason I'm doing this with the farming thing, again, is to be able to show them, okay, you can produce something and you can get better and better and better, rather than something that kind of plateaus and you're like, okay, what are we doing now? But if it can always get better, which it appears it can do, then that's a great thing to be able to pass on to your kids, you know. And that's what really annoys me, particularly about the farming, because I grew up in that culture, that area. Because farmers are being squeezed off the land, and farmers and family farms, like, they're the foundation of the middle class, and the middle class is the foundation of society, and it's the ladder that poor people use to climb.
Well, the middle class is getting fucking wiped out, dude.
But that's why we need to stop it.
Yeah, 100%.
And this is a mechanism to do so.
But I think more than it'll do so much more. I mean, everything will be richer. The look of the place, the feel of the place, the sound of the place, everything, all your senses are getting fucking maxed out proper. The
health will improve because, again, and this is one of the things I'm trying to sell at this climate carnival thing. Did I mention that?
Climate carnival?
Did I mention that?
You were on about the ploughing.
Yeah, I was on about the ploughing, but part of the reason... so at the end of the month, on Monday and Tuesday, there's a thing called, it's the inaugural Climate Carnival for Ireland.
Right.
And there's about 70 odd speakers going to it, and I've, through good fortune, was introduced to by various people, and I've managed to get myself onto one of the panel discussions on that, where I'll be, and there's various stages, and it's up in a place called Ballinturbet House in County Laois on 29th and 30th.
Everything's happening in Laois, by.
But what anyway, the story is that there's going to be loads of people that are getting together, and a lot of climate activists, and I'm going on the stage as Pippa Hackett, she's a senator. She was the Minister of State, Department of Agriculture. There's like an award-winning chef, and then there's a guy called John Gibbons, who'd be kind of an environmental journalist and stuff. He wrote a book recently called Lie of the Land. I'm reading his book, listening to his audiobook at the moment, so I can kind of understand where he's coming from. So the name of the panel is called Meat in the Middle, as in eating meat. Meat in the Middle. And the topic under discussion is, can livestock, because there's obviously a battle going on between the vegans and people who want to eat meat, because they frame cattle, because they think overgrazing is because of too many animals and polluting.
Think that's the problem.
Well, they think that's part of the problem, but they think the cattle are producing too many emissions because they're kind of stuck on this emissions thing. Because
that's Bill Gates' wagon, isn't it?
It probably started a lot earlier, but anyway, the point I'm getting to is that I'm going to be trying to argue that we need livestock on the land, mainly to make family farms independent, and maintain farming on the land. But we also need it in order to build the soil into the sponge that I'm talking about, because they think that climate change is caused by carbon and methane, and I think that's a symptom, or it's not even that important. But what they consider to be the problem, which is livestock, or one of the problems, is actually the solution, but I don't think they know it.
Tell them the 40,000 elephant story.
Well, that's the story that's going to be running in their mind when...
But it's the thing that fired this guy into a life fucking of work to say this is why it was wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you, but that's why he's demonized by the environmental movement, because because all they hear is he killed 40 evidence, he killed 40,000 evidence.
But you know that they can hire people. There's people, right? I heard this only today. There are people like actors that are paid. They get well paid to go out and fucking protest. This thing you're wanting now. I bet you there'll be some fucking wacky protesters there, and they're just there for a check. They don't know what they're talking about.
There's going to be all kinds of people. Like I'm trying to go into it with an open mind as best I can. I don't want to go in with assumptions because it'll just block you up. And actually, like the guy John Gibbons, who would be polar opposed to what I'm thinking, I actually agree with about 80-90% of what he says in terms of the things that are wrong. Like one of the things in the latest chapter I'm listening to, he's talking about how, we need to revitalize a lot of the town centres by pedestrianising some of them and
pedestrianised the fuck. I mean, there's footpaths coming out the wazoo now. It's getting really retarded.
But there are some towns like
what they want in towns, buddy, is fucking more trees.
Well, this is part of what he's advocating for.
But you don't need to.
But once you designate that fact that we're not having the cars in there now, suddenly all of the spaces start to open up, like the parking spaces that they have the cars. They become available to have trees. So there's a bunch of different, like there was streets in Dublin that were it was a crazy idea to pedestrianise it, but now you've got Grafton Street as an example.
Yeah.
And it's changed. But anyway, the point I'm getting to is that I agree with a lot of what he's saying, but I just think I disagree with what he thinks is the cause of it. So when I'm trying to go up to this conversation, I'm trying to go in there because I want to try and build bridges.
Yeah.
Because I want the environmental.
So meeting them in the car park is not happening.
No, but because I want the environmental movement to recognise that the farmer is the best ally they can have, or the farmer that is holistically managed is the best.
Jeremy Clarkson
that they can have.
You should bring him.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to take a leak out my garden.
Go for it.
But Jeremy Clarkson, what you think of him?
Interesting character, yeah. I would have been a kind of... He was hamming things up a little bit too much for a while there, but look, that's how he sells stuff. But I think he's serious about the regenerative thing. I think so.
day today, so when I came home I OD'd on coffee.
Oh, me too, yeah. No,
Then I was
fasting
drinking
as
too
well,
much
yeah.
coffee, so I said, have a cup of tea. Fucking idiot.
How long have you fasted for?
Since, I think it was 8 o'clock last night.
Oh, okay. So you do daily ones? Have you done multiple days?
I do, but I don't, I suppose. I'll do one proper day like today, a week, as in a 7-day week.
Okay.
Then most of the time I'll usually have dinner, unless I'm at archery out in Care, then I'll have a late dinner, that's once a week. But I probably won't eat until 12 o'clock the next day, or next morning, noon. So, and when I say eat, I'm eating cigarettes mainly. But I'll have like some chicken sandwich maybe, or something like that with nuts. That's about it. I'll eat very little, very frugal in the day. Because in my head it's like, especially with the work I'll be doing, all the stonework, you're just a lot of...
So what is it you do? You're a mason?
Stonemason, yeah.
Ah, okay.
I got the job because I was celebrating selling a bunch of pictures one evening, and I was kind of bored because all the buddies went off to college or whatever, and I went out celebrating on a Thursday evening, and I met this fucking lunatic from the Lake District over in England. They're over here working stonework, and I got into a pool competition with him. It was me and him in the final, and we were having a great banter, like, just clicked, and he... It's like, so what do you do? Say, I'm an artist. He goes, fuck off, stand up. What can you do? And he goes, you might have an eye for what we're doing. And then I said, sure, I'm kind of bored. It's kind of lonely.
Yeah.
So I said, fuck it, the banter might be good. So I went and I laboured for the 3 stonemasons for, I think, maybe 6 months. And then he started to show me his idea, his basics of stonework. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I'd say 6 months later, I'm thinking, geez, so much better than these guys. It's just what comes out of me.
Yeah.
So I kind of fucked off and did my own thing for a while. Then I went working with some landscape gardeners to do the stonework for them, but I ended up doing all our stuff with them. And then I eventually just went out doing my own thing. Pure Mad Max. Like, there's no guarantee of fuck all. You're just a hobo man. You know what I mean? And it seems to be working out okay.
No, I really like it. I haven't done much myself, but I'm really interested in it.
Oh, it's awesome.
Understanding it.
On a good day, it's awesome.
There's a couple of guys I follow on the internet. A Yorkshire guy who does sort of stone facing.
Yeah.
And I just love the idea of it because you have these buildings that are created and like it's incredible work. And because those buildings are beautiful, but you look at the buildings that are being created now, there's no comparison in terms of the beauty. Now they're tremendous in terms of their structures, but I don't know. They just don't have the same. Look, I would love to go into New York and look up at those buildings and see, my God, like what an incredible thing that we've been able to produce.
Not really. It doesn't tickle me at all.
Well, that's
even
fair enough,
Prague,
yeah.
we go to Prague every year because that's where the missus is from. So we bring the kids over to see her dad, and she's in an apartment there in Prague 4, so it's grand out like. But then we always make a point of going into the city and looking at the proper old architecture. It's fucking mind-blowing stuff. But then it's all this plastic fucking shit has taken over the last 5 years. I'm like, why are you doing that? It's like watching a naturally beautiful woman put fucking makeup on. You're like, what are you doing? You're hiding this fucking masterpiece.
I agree with you in terms of the aesthetics. It's just, I suppose, with the tall building, it's impressive as a civilization that we've been able to construct things as big as this. Like I've never seen them, but I can imagine that if I was looking up, that I'd be impressed. You know, that impression, it mightn't last very long. Well, look, you're different to me, so it is just what it is. But
do you ever hear of the Tartarian Empire? That's another fucking fruity thing I'm chasing at the minute. And it's basically they're chasing back all this ancient architecture now that you brought up the buildings.
It did. I've heard it. I think it was. I don't know where I heard it. Maybe it was around Carlson stuff. But yeah.
I heard it because someone tried to disprove the whole notion of it, that it's just all bullshit. And then he's a true believer now. He's like fucking flying the flag, and he put up a post. I forget his fucking name. He put up a post of is a President Putin doing some press conference in Russia.
Okay.
I don't know when this was, but he goes into this big room and there's a massive fucking, I guess a very old painting behind him of of a map,
Okay.
and it's the Tartarian Empire, and it's global. It's amazing, man. And then they have all these other things. It's just, for me, it's like, I don't know. They don't fucking know.
I don't know either.
But it's something to go. I like that. So when something there's no known finality to. It can go anywhere.
It feels to me like there's something deep about our history that we've either, I don't know if we've chosen to forget it or it's just been wiped off the map and we don't know it.
Wiped off the map.
You know, and because there was something serious happened about 12,009 years ago, and it seems clear that's the case, and the thing about the pyramids, you know, what's his name? What's his name? That guy Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
Do you know, like there's something going on there?
Yes.
Do you know? And
I think he reaches a bit, but at the same, he doesn't. It's like
I think he does about the mapping stuff a little bit sometimes.
He doesn't have to. You know, he's trying too hard. He's gone to these places. He's dived to these places underwater.
Well, some of that I question, because if you're a geologist and you're looking at some of the stuff, now maybe he's right, but the pictures aren't convincing underwater, because you do get structures that look like that in geological, you know, that get
but
developed.
some of them,
and the same with the spirals that going down on the, you know, the stuff they found with geophysics underneath the pyramids.
I actually thought that was. I'm not even looking.
That's
at that.
That to me just strike. Once Carlson talked about the fact that at that time, you got a massive canyon below there, and it's all limestone. You get these, like the Burren, you get that kind of Clinton Greig structure. So
that's amazing.
You know,
that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. They need more information on that. But the building itself and how it was built, the scale of it, and the reason why the hell you would do it and employ. There's just something missing in the story, you know. Yeah.
Well, say what you want. There's no way man as we know man today built the fucking pyramids. No way. No fucking way. No.
There's something up.
And if you look at globally, the pyramids that are found globally and the way they line up.
There's a lot of similarities across the world. Now you might say, okay, look, that's a logical structure to build, but I don't know.
But astronomically, the way they lock in is scary, man. But it's, again, look, there is a lot.
It's one of the most convincing. One of the most convincing part of that is the height and the radius, or the circumference of the pyramid.
Yes.
How it matches with the Earth.
Yeah.
Like that's just too weird.
Even it's just
that's not a mistake.
No.
It's not a mistake. So and to be able to do that,
I actually meant to ask you that because you would be a brainiac.
Oh,
do you think maths were invented by man or found by man?
I think they're found.
Yeah.
We've basically figured out how to read the language of the universe, and that's why we're going back to what you're talking about. When you were talking about design, I asked you what you meant, and that's
all these things lead into my.
That's the thing, and this is why the idea that is this a simulation? Maybe it's hard to know, but a simulation in whose mind?
Not as we know it.
I don't think we know.
I'd say I don't think we'll ever know. Okay, I don't think we're meant to know. I think we've been so fucking designed that you're not meant to. Maybe
that's what AI does. It gives us that capacity to go farther.
I don't believe it will.
Is it because you don't want to believe it, or
dude? I'd love it to be true. I'd love it to be true. I'd love to be getting like some kind of financial fucking handout, so I don't have to go to work because their invention is doing all the work, so I could go painting. I'd be delighted with that. I have a phone.
Yeah, no, I don't think you would.
I have the phone, and it's like, it's not doing as it's meant to fucking do. Everything associated with it, you go right back to the fucking car salesman back in the day. Oh, she's a mighty car, only one lady driver, the fuck. And at a death trap, everything is a fucking lie. When it comes to all the modern shiny shit, it's all a fucking lie. None of it does as it says on the can. None of it.
I don't know if that's true.
It's 100% true.
Do you know you got a car? The car does drive you from A to B. Do you know what I mean? So, like, do you know what I mean? But I get but you have the fact that these things are designed to fail in a lot of senses. Of
course,
so because they have to keep the customers coming. So there's an awful lot of that in there. But
there is. But every one of.
But they serve a purpose.
Yeah, distract you because you're going to be so busy working to pay for the fucking things.
Well, that's true as well. Yeah,
your household appliances the same.
Yeah, well, this is why I said the word no. You need to learn to say the word no.
Yeah,
earlier, so because a lot of that comes back to that guy James Rebanks, because he brought the cost of raising an animal. I think, did I say this already?
No.
the cost of raising an animal under the traditional system, he said it was between 800 and £1,000 a year to raise an animal. Now you 2.5 years, 2 years, maybe you can get an animal raised and you can sell it. So that's the amount of money that goes into it, and you get your profit. He's brought that cost down to less than £200 a year.
Really?
With this system. And see, most people don't realize that you can do, once you start to say no, I don't need to buy this tractor, I don't need to buy this fertilizer, I don't need all this, and this drifts into your general life. Like for example, like you're saying no to food, and it's well understood that caloric restriction in mouse tests show that the mice live longer if you restrict calories. They've done these experiments, but saying no to things you don't need, that's how the farmer becomes a low cost producer and actually earns more money in the end, because a lot of it comes down to profit per acre. I said that earlier, but so
it is fucking fascinating. But what blows, it's a fucking cobweb in cobwebs. Do you know what I mean?
That's holism, man. That's the whole thing about being holistic. You've holes within holes. That was the first that was the first key insight that Alan Savory got, which is once you understand that, because within the system of that we're currently thinking, let's say the ecological system, they think in terms of interconnectivity, where things are interconnected, which is almost right. But your skin is 95% air. It isn't really.
You're going right down.
It isn't really interconnected. Everything is. They're kind of merging into each other,
Everything is just a vibration frequency.
Well, this is it. This is part of it, And but once you start to understand that and you realize that, then you think. Then you think about the system in a different way. You don't need to visualize it all, but you just need to understand that.
You go mad if you're to fucking approach this like this is your everyday way of looking at the world.
It becomes simple after a while. Everything is difficult the first time you do it. Yeah. Once you do it again and again and again, that's that like you're gonna be Picasso in whatever number of years. So but it takes you a long time to get there. Anything you practice, you get good at.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's an old. I think Denzel Washington's line, isn't it? That's where I got that from. Unless someone else said it before, but I'm sure it's been said many times.
Oh, you can be sure it's been said. No.
But a lot of what I'm talking about is thinking in that way, and when you think in that way, then you start to slow down how you react to everything. And you start to observe.
You change one thing, you change everything.
Well, you start to realize you don't have to be doing as many of the things as you think in order to get things in that direction. Because there's so many things that you're doing people are doing in their everyday life. They don't need to be doing it all.
100%.
They're wasting the most like you talked about it, all of these things taking the most valuable thing in the world is your time.
Yes.
It's the only thing. It's the only thing you're never getting it back. So the trick about saying no is saying no to things that steal your time. And so this is a part of the holistic approach allows you to do that. And what it allows you to do is develop pattern recognition, where you're noticing everything is interconnected. And as you learn this, you become better and better at it. And then you see, the new thing over there.
Yeah. And
that new thing is an indication of change. And what you then do is you understand, okay, the reason that's there is because I was late 2 months ago moving the cattle and they huddled in the corridor and they actually impacted that more. And because they impacted that more, we actually got a new plant growing there because we got the soil to develop better. And that tells him, okay, so I haven't been hitting the ground hard enough.
Yeah. Because
a lot of farmers, when they're doing this kind of farming, they think, okay, I'll put the animals in, but they're worried about damaging it. And the way they come in and they graze, I keep bringing it back to this, but the general principle would be to say, okay, you let your grass grow as much as you can, then you come in, you graze about a third, you trample about a third, and you leave a third standing so that solar panels are still there and it can get going again.
Cool.
And that's how you get the process working. But every farmer that you're saying, okay, trample a third of the grass, they're like, what the fuck, all that wasted grass, what the hell are you talking about? But every single farmer I've heard of who has done this and started doing this trampling, they will tell a story about how they thought they trampled too much and they'd fucked up. But then that field ends up being the best field they had. Because what they're doing is they're putting a third of stuff, they're storing it in their bank, which is their soil. Because one of the things that farmers need to, I hope farmers can recognize when they get into this, is that, paper money is paper money. But your land is the real money, and that's why the pressure is coming on. Ever since Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, the fiat currency system was fading away. And people who have money understand there's only two kinds of money. Asia's gone for gold, but they're buying up land everywhere. The real money has always been land.
Yes.
And so this is why you're getting the squeeze that's coming on with it. But the farmer needs to consider their soil, their farm, to be a bank, almost like a battery for a charging system. And what you want to do is you want to extract as much solar energy as you can and store it in there. And you know that little bit, the stuff that's squirting out of the roots I talk about? You squirt it, you're storing carbon for the bad time that comes later. Because you use that carbon to grow plants later on, let's say, if the sun stops, whatever reason. But in the dry period, also you're trampling grass into the ground. They think that's the worst. What you're doing is you're storing carbon. You're putting money into your bank, which is your farm. And I'm trying to get this across the farm is that it's a bank. You put money into it, and also you store water. You store water, you store carbon, and both go hand in hand. And you're filling up your bank for the good times, and filling up your bank to give that to your kids. Because if you've got a soil that's got 2% carbon in it, but if you can hand on a farm that's got 15% carbon, they can. The current way that animals rotate is that with fertilizer they do it over about 20 days, but it's very hard hitting the soil because the grass is always this thick in the roots. With the holistic system here, because the ground is so hard, you probably have to let it rest for about 30 days.
Right.
Maybe 60 as the dry period when it slows to grow. Now that's tough because you might have to reduce the number of animals while you get going. But once you can get the carbon levels up in your soil, this lady I was speaking to 2 days ago, Phyllis Van Amberg, she's a dairy farmer over in New York, upstate New York. And we were talking and she was trying to show me how dairy farmers can do it. They've got their carbon up to about, I think it was about 13 or 14%. Because that's like, it's so rich in carbon, now she can actually go around in 20 days without fertilizer and grow the same amount of grass. And this is, and she can grow more grass. And one of the weird things is, and this might be interesting as well, is that you might have a particular grass. Let's say you're changing into conditions and these grasses start to grow, which are naturally in the seed bank, and they grow, but they're kind of spindly. It's like a fellow who's going to the gym for the first time. He's weak. But as you start to grow the system and get the roots and the symbiosis builds and the rhizophagy cycle with all the microbes builds, that plant changes its morphology. It starts to present. The leaves get thicker, the stems get thicker, they become more luscious, they become more nutrient dense, and it becomes the bodybuilder from the skinny guy because it's been exercised, it's been stressed, and it's been massaged. We don't know where this ends. There were dinosaurs on this earth. And for hundreds of millions of years, the amount of vegetation that had to be there and the nutrient density of that vegetation that had to be there in order for animals of that scale to grow, like it's difficult to comprehend. And the same story goes with the mammoths and all the rest of it, because there's only a certain length of time that you can spend eating, you know. Yeah. So they have to get the nutrients into them. And so that they can build their body. They can't spend all days. One of the other things that's interesting with cows, I find it interesting. I know it's not quite this podcast, but is the fact that the average cow goes out and she's going into grass is quite short, but it's as long as they want it. She has to take a bite by wrapping her tongue out and grabbing that because they don't actually have any teeth in their bottom jaw.
Oh really?
Is it the bottom or the top? I think it's one side. So they kind of grab and rip. Now, other animals do have that. Like sheep, I think, have teeth on both sides. But they kind of grab and rip. They wrap around the tongue. But in a typical system now, that cow might have to go out and she might have to take, I'm going to throw a number out here, maybe 5,000 bites in a day.
Should be wrecked.
This is a lot of work. Now, that's probably the wrong number, but it's a large number. Yeah. The point I'm getting to is, if you've got longer grass, she can wrap her tongue around and she get a bigger mouthful. She has less bites. So actually less time is spent expending energy on that. And then she can just sit down and ruminate and fatten up. So in terms of overall efficiency over time, a lot of these little efficiencies build into the system. And you realize, okay, I get rid of all the inputs. And my animals are healthier. I'm not spending money on vet bills. So that reduces in cost. My soil, as I build it, I can extend the growing season. So less time in sheds, less time spending buying bales of hay or baling them, less contractor costs. And then as you improve the soil further on, okay, I actually don't need sheds. So the costs dramatically drop because once you develop the soil strong enough, like this James Rebanks, like you may have heard the part where he talks about that he grows a long, luscious grass as best he can, and then in March. Well, no, what he does was he grows it long so that they flatten it down and create a thatch on the surface.
Yes.
And then that means when he lets them in the winter, because they're smaller cows. Because most of the cows here are big French cows, like Charolais, Limousines. They're huge cows. Yeah. They're designed for a warm climate, harder ground. This ground can't take them. But if you have smaller animals, like the Angus or the Galloway or Dexter is very, very small, but you create that thatch, then you can have the animals out all winter, as long as you manage them well. They don't damage the ground. And so you don't need the sheds. Or even if you have the sheds, you don't have to spend the money on straw. You don't have to have a tractor spending the money on spreading out the manure, handling it, piking all the stuff around. You got to bed it every day in a shed, or not every day, but every second day, depending what it is. So all of these costs, they can melt away, especially in the beef suckler operation, and it becomes a becomes a very profitable business.
But is this a way of farming that I would say a farmer today in Ireland? Can he transition to it, or does it have to go full on?
No, they transition, and we would never recommend transition because
that would shock the system, so to speak.
Oh yeah, and like if you're a farmer and you're doing stuff and you're supporting your family and all the rest of it, you'd be an absolute moron to listen to me and change everything.
Yeah.
And we never advise people. All we're doing is we're giving them information that allows them, principles that allows them to read the land and allows them to read changes. And then we would suggest to them, look, do an experiment. So for example, let's say you've got one field and you leave the cattle into that. Normally you leave them in for a day or whatever. What I would say, fence off a small little strip, let the animals go in there and trample it in for a half an hour or whatever it is, very, very tight spot, and then leave them into the main field. The next time you go into that field, you don't let them graze that bit, you give it double the rest time. And then over time you do this experiment where you start to grow the grass in little test patches, and you go out with your shovel and you dig up and you see, okay, the soil is different here, and when the hot weather comes, the grass is growing here, but it's not growing in the rest of the field. And the reason it's growing here is because I've been treating it the way those guys said to treat it. And so what we would advise is farmers to do an experiment, and because we teach them how to read the land, when they walk out into it, they're looking at various things. It's called like a land discovery tour, and they notice, okay, the reason this is growing better is because of the new approach. And we do these experiments, and then as the farmer gets more confident in it, he starts to expand that across his farm, and at a certain point he'll just go for it. But it's absolutely possible. It takes courage to do something different, because what you're doing is all your neighbors have got these perfectly grassed fields, there's no dock leaves in them or anything like that, and then you're suddenly going to let things grow a little bit. And you're going to get weeds, and they're thinking, this lazy son of a bitch, the seeds from the weeds in his farm are going to blow onto my farm. That's what they're going to think. But they don't realize that there's exactly the same number of seeds in their field as there is in his field. But what suppresses it is how you treat the ground.
Yeah.
He's going to let it go, and like they may be spraying things, that they may be topping it, with a mechanical tool. But what he's choosing to do is he's not choosing to use the mechanical tool to chop because that would be the normal thing, okay? As the dock leaves grow, you'll go out with a mechanical topper and you'll top them before they go to seed.
All right.
And so you're trying to
pollination. So
what you're trying to do, what the typical farmer is doing, they're trying to prevent pollination of the weeds because they think we're not going to get more of them. But the reason the weeds are growing is because of the way the soil is being treated. So I give dock leaves as an example. Now this is one of the reasons. If you have grass growing and your soil is healthy, so let's say it's moist, it's got air in it, and you've got a reasonable root network. Mm-hmm. Grasses and oats as well, but a lot of different plants, they produce chemicals, defense chemicals. It's in everything. Yeah. The skin of the fruit, for example, has got a defense chemical, but it goes away as it gets ripened because it wants to eat. But that's a big rabbit hole we can go down in some other time. But the grasses squirt out, along with these exudates that they squirt out for the microbes, they squirt out what's called allelopathic chemicals. And these chemicals, they basically diffuse through healthy soil, and they prevent germination of plants that are competitors with the grass. So, but they do this, and that will prevent, if you've got healthy soil, it will start to prevent a lot of dock leaves and weeds from growing.
Right.
But if you come in and you hit the ground hard and you trample it and you cap it, like we talked about earlier, the capping can occur because of the wind, because of the rain, but it can also occur because you kind of muddy up the top with too much animal activity. Yeah. It's called poaching the field. And any farmer knows that after
like
you
soup skin.
Yeah, but what happens when you do that is you seal off the top. Two things happen. One, the soil can become waterlogged because it tends to happen in a wet time.
Yeah.
And the microbes die off. The soil conditions deteriorate. The grass pulls back because it's been hit too hard by the animals, and the chemicals are not able to travel out into the area, and so the dock leaf seeds, which are always there, they say, oh, no chemicals, let's go, pop.
Yeah, we've
and they start growing, and the reason they're growing is because the grass chemicals are not preventing them growing. That's one of the reasons. There's other reasons as well, yeah, I'm not sure how we got onto that rabbit hole. But
I was fucking talking to a buddy of mine about the dock leaves in our place. I said, they're fucking everywhere, dude. I said, is it the cow shipping wash from the field down here and doing whatever?
They're in every field. It's just the reason they will grow is because of the way the land is being treated.
But you know what he said he does? I don't know if maybe it works in his, wherever he is.
Go on.
He gets like golf shoes. With the spikes.
Okay.
And when he's mowing his lawn, he's wearing his spike shoes.
Okay.
To spike to get into the earth.
Yeah. They do this in golf courses. They'll have a tool for doing it.
Or football, the round guy.
Soccer pitches. Yeah. And they'll have forks to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, no golf shoes to cut no fucking
He's
grass.
not wrong. You know, like it's because you can imagine if you've got the rain and it's capped at kind of a couple of millimeters.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But his lawn be like a carpet now. I don't like that.
Well, yeah, but it's probably not necessary for him to do what he's doing. But because he keeps it so short, it means that the soil surface, the raindrops can get through it. But if you've got long blades that are kind of folding up over each other, the chance of the raindrop hitting the ground are less. So that's why we've kind of argued to leave about a third behind because you have some that's trampled down. And like, when you're starting off with this thing, you're not going to be able to stop every raindrop hitting every piece of ground because you're going to start off with a very low plant density. It looks like it's good, but as you improve the sward and this plant, it's one of the measures to see if you're improving is that the space between the roots and plants decreases because you actually get more plants growing.
Yeah.
You know, and that just indicates that you're extracting more energy from the sun because life is energy organized, basically. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to harvest as much of that and put it into your bank and store it and dole a bit out to the cattle as you need it so that they walk around and you use the cattle as a tool. You know, like the cattle is in the tool bag. Let's say you've got 4 different tools. I'm going to mix one now. You've got technology, you've got fire, which is used in certain parts of the world. You've got livestock, and you've got rest. And over here, one of the most valuable tools is rest. Because in an arid climate, if you allow the land to rest, it'll just desiccate and dry out. So you actually have to hit it way more regularly than you might think. You might think, okay, you need to protect this area because there's too many animals. But that's the old way of thinking.
Is that crop rotation as well?
It's kind of like that. Like the average farmer, dairy farmer, will rotate his animals around. But holistic plant grazing, you would record information as you're doing it, and the next year you might do it differently because maybe you hit this field too hard, or maybe this field you notice that there's birds nesting and you want to protect them, because it's actually a great thing to have birds on your farm. Because if you think about the soil, right, down in the valley, it has to get nutrients from somewhere. Now, if it's right next to the river, you got the river eroding stuff off of the mountains, which is being brought up by mountain building, right? And exposing rocks. So it's getting eroded from the mountains, coming down the river, and it floods up onto the ground. So you get a dose of nutrients onto the mountain all the time. But if you're away from the flood zone, how do you get your nutrients? Bird droppings, exactly. You get migratory birds coming in, but you also would have got large herds that would have eaten up in the mountains. They would have actually put chemicals and nutrients would have gone into their body from the grasses they would have eaten up there, and they would have come down, they would have defecated, and they would have transported a little bit. But it would have occurred over long, long periods of time. But you add in the birds, if you've got a massive flock of birds, seagulls coming over your place, and there's crapping everywhere, and they were from the sea, you get massive doses of iodine and all this stuff, the nutrients from the ocean, which is great. So you want the amount of life to build on your property. And this is another reason why I want the environmental movement to understand what we're talking about, because if you have the nutrient dense forage everywhere, every single life, the deer, the worms, like the shrews, all these other animals, the birds, they're all more healthy because
they're there for a reason.
because they're up in the food chain. The food chain begins in the soil. It's like plankton in the ocean.
Yeah.
That's it's the fundamental. There's a lady called Elaine Ingram, and she has a podcast, and she wrote a book called The Food Web, and it talks about the different levels. We would have been taught about it in biology class at a rudimentary level, but there's different levels. One eats the other level, and it goes up and up and up and up. And you obviously have the apex predators, the eagles and all the rest of it. But we are the apex predator because we eat everything.
Yes.
Now, and we would have been, it depends what you think about how we evolved. Everything that I've studied indicates that we came down and we were basically scavengers on the bones and the kills of others for a while. We developed, we got opposable thumbs. We figured out how to break out the bones and get the bone marrow and eat all these bits and pieces, because the acid in our stomach is the same as a vulture's. So we're able to deal with all of that. And then as time went on, we developed tools to be able to kill our own meat. And in the Northern Hemisphere, you didn't have anything to eat except meat for most of the year until fall came along. You'd obviously you eat things in a medicinal way.
Oh, with the magic mushrooms.
Well, you got Terence McKenna and his theory, the stoned ape theory,
Yeah.
and that's a rabbit hole for sure, But I don't see how it could be otherwise. Like, it's not as though you're going to be ranging across the prairies and you'd never tried the bloody things. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut off with Jimmy, come here, try this mushroom.
See, the problem I have with that is we can only assume, because we're thinking like people of our time.
That's a good point,
and people of our time are not a dog back then. People back then are closer to a dog because they're in tune with the fucking environment. They instinctively know whoever handed it down, it's there, it's in them. Don't eat that berry, don't eat this.
But you have to build that into your culture. It doesn't happen automatically. It's the same that I was talking about where you have the calves grazing. If you can graze them with the cattle, the cows, they learn by observing. We were talking about kids earlier.
Yeah.
On how do you build them? They're looking at you. They're looking at every single thing you do, and they're learning all the time, and so.
They grass on you as well, by the way. They grass on you.
Oh yeah.
Daddy said it about me.
Yeah. But so these things build into our culture. I don't think there's any. There's no doubt in my mind that we would have used mushrooms, because it was embedded into the old Eleusinian stories. Like in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
That was the Eleusinian mysteries. That it was part of the culture. That it was an ergot.
You just triggered a fucking memory of some
Ergot was a fungus
thing.
that used to grow on barley, and they figured out that these guys were getting high and
hallucinating.
Yeah, basically. And then but they started to cultivate the barley and notice this, and they would build it, and then they would have a ceremony once a year where they would go off and they would think, and it's arguable the seat of Greek philosophy and history and Western civilization.
But it goes all of this. And the ambition of bringing it forward, and the thing on at the end of the week, the carnival you're going to debate with people or whatever. It just brings me back to that thing I listened to today, where the two boys were having that chat in Oxford, and the guy has all his friends who have ranches and farms all over the world. They've all done it. They've all buckled down and got it done, and they have the results. And this guy just dismisses it. That could be anyone's photos. I just thought that is typical of the dogma mentality in that place. And that's nearly as you listed off all those things that would melt away, like the barn, the fucking paying this, paying that. These are all people who are now becoming vindictive of people like the farmer so maybe all of this plays in the mind as well.
Yeah, look, you've got all kinds of people in the world, so it's hard to know, and people have got all kinds of reasons.
You need a trailblazer, is what you fucking need. You need a fucking Indiana Jones type character who's just, everyone wants to be him, they all want to be his buddy, and they see him doing this shit, and he goes, I'm with him.
Well, I'll send you a podcast later. It was, it's Alan Savory. His 90th birthday was a couple of days ago, or a week ago now. And he did an interview on the Savory Institute podcast, where he went into a lot more detail about the things he how he has near misses. He's as close as we have to an Indiana Jones kind of character, and it's incredible. Like the time that he came in, men were given incredible responsibility. It was a kind of end of Empire time, and he
has a Lawrence of Arabia vibe off him.
Yeah, and he came in and he was just given massive, managed like quarter of this country or whatever it was, and he just took it on. But he's a character like that. Like so many people have gotten involved in the Saber Institute because that he's exactly that kind of character. But then you got the guy in America called Gabe Brown, and so many people are involved with him because they see him as a character. He wrote a book called From Dirt to Soil. Excellent book.
I'd say so.
And the thing was, a lot of the trailblazers, they were kind of forced into it. Like this guy James
the
Rebank.
hailstone guy.
That's it. yeah. 3 years in a row nailed by hailstones, and he had no choice, and he had to do it.
Down, couldn't get along.
But that takes cojones, But also the fact as well, I could be wrong, but he wasn't a farmer. He came into it.
Married into it.
He married into it,
but
exactly.
they bought it.
But he didn't have that knowledge.
No.
That was stopping the new knowledge coming in. He was open to anything. But he was kind of forced into it a little bit.
That's a good point, though.
Do you know, it's old knowledge stops the new.
Of shit happening, I suppose.
Yeah. And there's Greg Judy. There's another guy that works with Gabe Brown called Alan Williams. And he's a rock star. Like he was a geneticist and he's moved into this, but he's so organized in the way he thinks, and the way he communicates is amazing. I think he's a superstar. But there's a bunch of these guys that are like that, and younger ones coming through. There's a festival that happens every year over in the UK called Groundswell. The idea that
I heard of Groundswell.
The idea that we wanted to come from the ground up.
Yeah.
Because getting it to change from the top down is tough because of the tax base and where it's coming from.
Yeah,
and it's called Groundswell. This year there's about 10,000 people at it. It's a big event, bigger than I thought, and I went there for 2 days. And there was huge, big circus tents. Must have been 20 different venues where speeches were going on. There was a long calendar of talks from all of these different farmers, and it was difficult to get around to all of them. And Gabe Brown, he was the keynote speaker because he hadn't come for a long time. I don't know if he ever came. He finally came. He was delighted that he did. And it said on the calendar or the schedule that the special guest would talk for 15 minutes before. And so I got there late, as I often do, and I couldn't get in, but I was looking in there and saying, who's that fella? And a bunch of people turned around to me. And it was Prince William.
All right.
Was talking at the stage, and they kind of looked. Oh yeah, this fella. I kind of knew who it was, but it was quite the thing for that to occur, And then out of that, Gabe Brown got an invitation to come back and meet King Charles on his farm for a couple of days. And and the thing is, you just never know what is the little thing that causes it to metastasize.
Yeah.
Do because if it is the case, and Charles got burnt, whatever you think about him, he got burnt. He came out very, very strongly many, many years ago in favor of organics. But he was savaged by the agricultural community and everything else. Partly because, who dare you as a king to be starting to tell people what to do? You're not supposed to tell people what to do. And he got savaged over it. I don't remember it, but this is what I was told. So, but if he kind of tweaks the little things and starts to do it on his farm, then the other parts of the royal court, they start to do it. And as the richer people start to do it, it becomes the fashionable thing to do. And I think there's an overall recognition that the food isn't nutritious enough. We're not eating good food.
No.
And one of the big problems that occurs with overeating is the fact that you have a requirement for certain materials.
Yeah.
And so you will eat and eat and eat to get those. One of the things they do with pigs, you may not know this, is that you'll feed pigs a certain kind of a food at different stages of their life. And when they're young, you need to feed them quite a lot of protein because bones are about 80% protein. So in order to build and construct the animal, it's protein basically calcified.
Yeah.
So you feed them a certain amount of protein as they get older and older and older. And once they get to the kind of the finished size, then you want to fatten them up. So the way to fatten anything up is to give them carbohydrates.
Toast.
Yeah, breads and the rest of it. So what they do is they will change. There'll be a certain amount of salt also in the feed. Because your electrical pulses in your brain, you need salt in order for your brain to work. So what they do is they reduce the amount of salt. I think they reduce the protein also. But then the animal, requiring the same amount of salt, will eat more food. because they've built up a requirement for a certain amount of salt.
Yeah.
So you reduce the amount of salt in the feed, they end up eating more feed to get the same amount of salt and fat. And so what you feed them, well, and most of them, like the prime pig feed was skimmed milk and corn.
Really?
Like that's what a lot of pigs are fed to get them fat. And you walk down the breakfast aisle and what do you see? You know, best meal of the day. Like it's a gig. You know,
I don't believe breakfast is the best meal of the day. I don't think there should be a fucking breakfast.
It's a marketing Kellogg's.
Exactly.
It's a marketing ploy.
I mean,
once a day is probably good enough for most people. If you're, you know, and especially like I eat mostly meat, but it's still good to get a pulse of insulin.
I'm a terrible foodie. And
in order to do that, with protein, you'd have to have a big bolus of it to get the kick, because insulin does a couple of other things apart from just, you know, change the fat system. It helps retain electrolytes in your system. So if you go kind of carnivore and you're eating small bits during the day, you don't get a pulse of insulin, so you can drain of your electrolytes and you have to supplement. You get cramps otherwise, but you can stave that off by kind of eating big amounts once a day or whatever. But when you're starting off in it, if you're doing it, you obviously just want to eat to not be hungry, so you don't crash and go into the carbohydrate.
But a lot of it's in your head as well, and I tried that carnivore thing out of just, I think I was bored. That's the only reason. I mean, I don't really fucking look at my diet. I just know that she says it's boring. I just need to have chicken, pork, bacon, weekend sausages, lots of eggs. You're not a carnivore at all, no. Lots of eggs. I need lots of eggs.
Yeah.
So fish now and then, but steaks, yeah, that's kind of all I'll eat. But I love potatoes. I fucking love them. I love rice.
Yeah.
I love throwing veg in with that and some black pepper.
Look,
black pepper and everything.
We're clearly omnivores. Yeah. We can eat anything.
Yeah.
I would just argue that the meat is the most nutrient dense food, in my mind. It's the most nutrient dense.
I think it makes perfect. We've canine teeth, for fuck's sake. Come here. My brother, I have a brother, and he's one of those fudge eaters. The food that's not real food. Him and his missus are big into it. Last time I spoke, I haven't spoken in a while. Sorry, Adam. But he's big into all this shit. He's dialed in. And there's no talking to him. But I say nothing to him, as long as he doesn't annoy me about what I eat. Because it's like, it's become a political fucking agenda for all these bored people who've just need something to scream about.
Yeah, and look, I was like that a little bit as well. Once I discovered and once I realized that you could eat that way, and once I realized that cholesterol does not cause heart disease and all of these things, then I thought, okay, everyone needs to know this, and I was kind of telling everybody, I'm boring people to tears. So. And I went through a phase, and I think when you discover something new, and it's a little bit with this holistic as well, management as well. Like I want to spread it out there. I think it's a good thing, but
it is.
But with the meat stuff, but I stopped kind of telling people now at this stage, and and also because it's awkward socially. A lot of the time,
even
because
in your own head.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be saying, I shouldn't have had that cup of coffee. I shouldn't have had that thing.
Well, it's okay because I just draw a line, and it's simple, and I know because I know that when I eat these kind of things, I don't feel as good. I feel better when I don't. And ultimately, I just want to feel good. And then, because for me, it's very, very simple. It's actually very simple. But it does make socializing a little tricky, because you go to, especially if you're going over to a person, like, what are you going to say? I only eat meat? Like, who the hell are you to say that?
Yeah.
Do you know you're King George coming in here and saying, oh, you give me steak?
Yeah.
But so I will tend to say, no, I'm fasting, or I've already eaten, and then I'll avoid meal times, and it's okay. I don't mind that. But occasionally, like once a month or a couple of times a month, I'll break the habit, and I'll just eat just to be sociable. You know, at this meal, for example, at this carnival, they're going to have a meal, and they asked, do you have any dietary requirements? I'm going to say meat only, but I expect it's a kind of a vegan heaven where there's going to be loads of stuff. But I don't want to make the assumptions. I'm going to say it, but we'll see what happens, you know. And but I'm open to doing it just to be sociable every now and again. It's just that 99% of the time, I find that if I just eat red fatty meat, I just feel better, you know.
Oh yeah.
Now, and look, maybe that changes over time, because it can take time to repair damage that's been done, you know. And so,
well, I think you'll change anyway, because your physical output will change with your age. But then I honestly think that the thinking part of you requires as much fucking energy, and energy is by food. So
Yeah, but ketones, like you understand what the ketogenic diet is.
the ketones.
Yeah, you know what ketones are?
No.
So there's within the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the engine inside in every cell.
Okay.
That produces energy. It's a thing called ATP. I don't even
Okay.
know. I can't even remember what that stands for. But within the mitochondria can use two fuels to produce. ATP is the energy that's accessible to the rest of the cell to do all the work. But in order to produce ATP, the mitochondria will use two fuels. One is glucose, which comes from carbohydrates, and the other is ketones, which comes from fat. So you can run your body on both, but if you're running on carbohydrates all the time, it's kind of like a gasoline versus electric.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, you're running in red. But the problem is that if you always have carbohydrates in your body and glucose in your system, you always have insulin in your system, and having a continuous amount of insulin in your body, that's where diabetes comes from. And insulin resistance causes a lot of the health damages that most of the chronic conditions, you could argue, are caused by excessive amounts of carbohydrates or sustained amount. And most people get away with this for most of their life, but it'll hit them eventually.
Yeah.
But if you're fasting and doing other things, it's different. Some people get away with it, but other people can have serious problems that can develop. Like you got chronic diseases all over the place because of this. But your body can run on two fuels. And there are a lot of cases or stories now, anecdotal, and there's test cases as well, where people who in homes who have developed type 3 diabetes of the brain, basically are Alzheimer's.
All right.
And it could be to do with statins as well, stopping the cholesterol because your brain. There's a bunch of different reasons that cause Alzheimer's, and most of them are metabolic and due to diet. It's not genetic. Is the fact that they can change their diet. There was a doctor over in the US, and he did it. I saw a podcast that he did with a guy called Dr. Ken Berry. He wrote a book called Lies My Doctor Told Me. It's a very good book.
I like the name.
Yeah. He's a doctor, and he was fat, and he realised, there's something going wrong here, and suddenly he dug into it and realised, I've been lied to. And but what this doctor was doing is he was changing the diet to become a kind of a ketogenic diet. So ketogenic diet is basically where you reduce the amount of carbohydrates down to about 20 grams. Net grams, and that because it's so low, the number of carbohydrates, you never kick in the insulin response, because insulin does two things, but it does a load of things. But one of the main two things it does is it opens the cell, kind of key. It's a kind of a key, opens the cell for glucose to go into the cell so that you can use it.
Yeah.
But also it stops. It causes. It allows fat to be deposited in the body, but it prevents fat to be used. So if your insulin is high in your blood all the time, you can't access the ketones.
Right.
But once you bring the insulin down because you reduce the carbohydrates and the glucose, then the ketones can get used, and you're running on this other fuel. And people do it. Like when you're fasting, for example, you're running on ketones. If you did a long fast, you might suddenly kind of get a kind of a metallic taste in your mouth, and it's because that can happen because of ketones are in your body.
Well, it's usually these cups.
Yeah. But yeah, there's two different fuels that you can run on, and basically a person who's got type 2 diabetes, if they change over to the ketogenic diet where you're running your body on ketones, diabetes goes away. But people don't do it, like, because they're told that, because the drugs make a lot of money.
Yeah. But it's like I mean, I'd like to think, again, back to balance and everything, but you really do need to have that fucking pillar of strength. The core, the spine of your diet has to be meat, if you're a person. A lot of the men who go to McDonald's and shit like that and Supermax, tasty, yeah. It's, for me, that's sweets. It's not food. Because the actual meat content in a burger from those places is fucking tiny.
Yeah. And one of the weird things about that is that they say 100% beef.
The fuck it is.
No, 100% beef is a brand.
They're cunts, aren't they?
Isn't it? I only discovered this not so well, maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. Because they say, it's 100% beef. It's a brand. It's not actually 100% beef.
Yeah.
It's a scam. Now, there may be a certain amount of meat in it. I'm sure there's some in there.
Human meat, apparently, in American shops.
But you're right in terms of, I agree with you completely. It's animal-based. And you can add in various bits and pieces. Some people will suffer. Like, there's a thing now that bothered me. It's a thing called oxalates. Because plants can't run away. They're stuck there.
Yeah.
So Animals
self-defense mechanism.
defense chemicals. There's various defense chemicals, and they put these into the skin. They put it into the stems and the leaves. They particularly put it into their offspring, which is the seeds.
Yeah.
Because that's the next generation. And these chemicals prevent animals eating them unless they want to eat them. This is why fruit is a reasonable approach, because as it gets ripe, the plant effectively wants you to eat it, because that's why it's there, to carry the seed.
Yeah.
So reasonable to eat them. But the plants, like, you could argue that, it's a, like, for example, if you eat, they develop these things, these crystals come out of them called oxalate crystals, and they're small little crystals. Different plants will have different sizes of them, and the reason for them is that when let's say a caterpillar comes along to eat them, it destroys the gut of the caterpillar, and it destroys the gut of the insects. So if a plant is healthy, it's able to produce these chemicals and defend itself. But if it's sick, it can't produce the chemicals. The insect will notice this and it'll start to eat it. And so that's what it has. So what happens with some people, and it happened to me, I think, it's hard to know for sure. I think I suffered from oxalate, not poisoning, but inflammation. Because if you get these crystals building up on all your body, you get systemic inflammation can develop. And there are severe cases where it'll build up in the joints. It can erode the joints, but it also damages. Some people it can damage the nerves, so that the person can't feel the erosion occurring. Look, there's a good woman called Sally Norton. She wrote a very, very good book about this. I'm not sure what it's called, but I've listened to a bunch of her podcasts, and they talk about this. And so one of the reasonings, when I think about it, is that when it comes to an animal, you kill it. The animal only has teeth, claws, and legs to defend itself. Yeah. Run away, or it can scratch you, or it can eat you, whatever. But once you kill the animal, aside from frogs that have got poisonous skin or whatever, there's nothing in that meat that will cause an inflammatory response. There's no defense chemical. It's the most anti-inflammatory food that is out there. Now, if you do slow cook food or age it, you can develop what these things called histamines, and that some people can have a reaction to that. I have a reaction to that. Like if I put stew meat or oxtail or something into a slow cooker and cook it for 14 hours, I eat that, I'll feel a bit queasy. But if I put it into a pressure cooker and I cook it really, really quick, the histamines don't develop, and it's gorgeous, no problem.
Yeah.
So it's a thing that can come out in aged meat. But if you're eating fresh meat, like the inflammation is so reduced, and this is why, as a food source, it seems logical to me that that's the one we were aiming at.
Yeah.
And as the more intelligent species, it's always the case. If you're top of the food chain, you're always eating meat. Any animal that's on top of the food chain, even whales that are top of the food chain, they're eating krill by the billions.
Yeah.
With their baleen and eating out of the tongue, like they're carnivores, you know. And it's arguable that cattle are too also, because when they eat grass, and that's not completely true, but when they eat grass, they employ billions of bacteria to break down the grass and convert them into amino acids, which they digest, which is a kind of, it's not exactly plant food, the amino acids. And but I don't know if I don't think I understand that argument properly. But when it comes to food, that's one of the plants have chemicals in them. Like, for example,
they're fucking aliens.
Like almonds, for example. Almonds have cyanide.
They have milk too.
Yeah, but they've cyanide. But there's a certain almonds, like if you were to eat a couple, if you're eating a couple of pounds of it, you can get seriously ill from it. Maybe die. I don't know. It have to be a big dose now to kill you. But yeah, and even potatoes, like they're all called the nightshades. There were a reason when they go green. Solanine is a poison that's in them.
I thought when they go green, bury them.
Well, you wouldn't eat them, I suppose.
But if you bury them, you get new potatoes.
Yeah, at the right time of year. Yeah.
Because when I figured out, when I was introduced, we'll say, to photosynthesis, that was me dialed out. So fuck this. These are ETs. These fucking people making
wild.
Food and babies with the sunlight. What the fuck is that about? With no brain involved in the equation.
It's an amazing thing.
Look, there's so much real shit that we see every day in the natural world that we have no fucking clue what we're even looking at. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we can't just stand up and admit that, regardless of our educational background, is kind of detrimental.
You need to be humble.
You fucking do.
You need to be humble because, I'm learning this stuff, and it's new, and I think I got a bit of a grasp on it, but the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's in everything, because there's layers to this game, and even when it comes to quantum physics, every time they go down another layer, it's okay, there's no reason there wouldn't be another layer.
Yeah.
In terms of getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And like the universe is an amazing thing. We know about 5% of it, 95% of it, dark energy, dark matter. They have no idea what it is.
Sure, what about our oceans? How much of it have we actually explored? As in a species, no, fucking little.
Yeah.
It's a 5 or 10% of the deep ocean. That's it.
Yeah. And it's the same with history as well. Because even the evil...
Everything is restricted.
Well, look, there's stories that are built around it, and people build a story because even when it comes to the skeletons, you might ask the question that I think, maybe I could be wrong, but as far as I know, in terms of mapping the evolutionary history of humans from whatever primates we think we were to now, I think there's only 8 different sites.
Yeah, that's.
Now I could be wrong about that, but I heard this. Now I could be passing on a story from some bloody crazy podcaster, but that's what I heard. That there's essentially 8 different sites that allow you to map the progression, not exactly. Not display the current humans, but map the progression of the evolution.
But then again, it's like what you were saying there. I mean, the fucking world was flipped upside down. Valleys of deserts are now oceans, and everyone could be there.
Yeah.
You don't know. Because my argument would be, where the fuck are all the dinosaurs? If it was such a global thing, there's a few. That's it. No biggie. The guy up in fucking, where is it? Up near Canada, Alaska, is it? The Boneyard guy.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
That's amazing what he has in that. Yeah. It's like, it's for all the world, like they got caught in a bottleneck in the middle of
a flood.
Something that happened very quickly and just trapped them all there. Because there's no way, apparently, that they should be coexisting or being in close proximity to one another.
But things happen. Like, again, like you asked about the bones, and it's a fair question. But what happens is, like, that was a long time ago. And since that period, you've had glaciers that have scraped everything off the earth.
It'd still be
and then that gets washed.
You're on about a global population.
Yeah, and if you go up to you're not wrong. But they do have big yards down and evidence down in Argentina, for example. They're finding new massive dinosaurs down there regularly. The biggest one in the world was found down there within the last 10 years. But up in Alberta, where I was, Alberta in Canada, there's a place called Drumheller, and you go down there, and it's one of the most amazing museums I've ever been to. The amount of dinosaurs they've got, and they're just digging them out, digging them all out. It's a place called the Badlands.
Ready made, like.
Well, I wouldn't say ready made.
Are they just saying, well, I reckon this should be over here?
But they got a lot of complete specimens.
Yeah,
down there. So it's not everywhere. You're right, but you could make a plausible argument why it's not everywhere.
I could say that's all Scooby-Doo. I'd say it's all Scooby-Doo. There's too many red flags.
So how do you mean it's all Scooby-Doo? You think that they didn't exist?
Well, I don't know about that. I won't, because the bones got to come from something.
Well, yeah.
You tell me we can manufacture this and age it? No.
Yeah.
But they got to come. But are they dragons?
Look, the story of the dragons goes back. It could very well come back to what's his name, Graham Hancock talks about, because you had this fiery thing coming through with the tail that destroyed everything. The comet impact. Do you know what I mean? And you tie that in with a snake and a serpent that poisons and kills children, blah blah blah.
Medical
a long snake. So like you can see how the story of the dinosaur develops just through culture, observing the sky and all the rest of it. So there's all those kind of things. But
what about the extraterritorials? I should say it's not a flat Earth thing. It's more of a bigger fucking Earth that we're like. It's all these one crazy story with a nugget of maybe leads to another one, and they're all tangents of a universe of stories of maybe, but you don't have the time or the fucking intellect. But then again, it's nothing to do with intellect. I believe there's not an intuition, maybe that's wrong, but it's like there's a sense. You get a sense. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that rings true. That feels like a memory. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you trust your gut, but it takes experience doing that and not falling flat on your face every single time to do it. So and because kids are being taught the way they're being taught, they're not exercising that muscle.
They're not losing and winning.
Yeah.
But again, you could argue, like, I say memory, it could be, what the fuck are we doing when we go to sleep? That's another massive fucking question that I'd like someone to have a go at answering, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the whole energizing the body doesn't stand.
It's from what I gather, the information I have, my understanding of it is it's brain repair.
Brain repair.
It's brain repair. And one of the things that I've noticed, and what I've been told other people have noticed as well, is that there's less damage. Because type 3 diabetes is basically what they're calling the people who study Alzheimer's disease and dementia, they call it type 3 diabetes now. Really? Because it's damage caused by glucose in the sugar and causing in the brain. That people who study it, that's what they call it. And that's what it is, because it's a metabolic disease. So what happens is, if you're heavy on carbohydrates, I notice I need 8 hours. But when I'm running on ketones, some nights I only need 4 hours.
Dude, if I did 8 hours, I'd be no good to nobody.
Yeah. But what I'm saying to you is that I think there's less damage being done to you when you're on ketones, because it's actually the fuel the brain should be running on.
Yeah, because
and there's less damage caused. So sleep as a process is brain repair, mostly a bodily repair too, but mainly brain repair. And also, people argue that what it does is it organizes and files your memories and every experience from the day into something. I don't know how they can say that's true.
I don't know.
But I think, I think because when I change the fuels I'm running on, I need less sleep. That's evidence to me that there's less work needs to be done to repair the brain, because it's clear to me that excessive amounts of carbohydrates does damage the brain.
Oh, damages everything, dude.
It seems to.
Yeah, I haven't just arrived here, I'll eat this, I'll eat that. I've arrived here because, like you, I'd be at work, I'd have this fucking horrific fucking roll of thing.
Yeah.
And then I can't work.
Yeah.
Because I can't squat, I can't lift, I can't stretch, I can't...
You figured it out. You figured it out.
Asleep.
You experimented. It's the same as what we're talking. It's the same as what we offer to the farmer. Do an experiment, and you've experimented, and you've watched the pattern, and you've noticed this doesn't work. Most people don't observe the pattern.
They keep doing the same thing again and again. You start noticing every fucking thing.
Well, you do,
and then it's like, okay, actually, I'm eating too much.
It's a skill. It's a skill. It's a muscle.
Yeah.
That you exercise. You know how to be observant in an efficient way. You know, and what you're doing is you're looking at the pattern. You're looking for deviations in the pattern.
Yeah.
And that's like I spend a lot of time working on landslide, like looking for landslides. As a geologist, you're doing that anyway. You learn how the system works, and then you're looking for deviations in it to see if there's a fault.
Right.
For example, and when I was looking at landslides, I'm looking at the terrain, and I'm looking for any signal that indicates water might be causing a landslide, because that would cause a landslide and it would tear the pipe and cause an oil spill.
Oh.
So we were kind of looking for those kind of features. Now, it's not, most of the hills are low risk. It's a lot of erosion stuff. But you exercise that muscle of looking at the landscape and you say, okay, something's wrong here. There's a tiny little tilt in the ground and a shadow. And you go over, then you realize, okay, there's a crack there. You pull the vegetation back, and then you can follow that crack and say, okay, we've got a separation here in this ground, and we need to do something about it. We need to drain the water from above it or something to stop it saturating, or we need to put something in to fix that ground. And if it's long enough away from the pipeline, maybe it's not serious. But it's noticing the deviations in the pattern allows you to learn the new information. And same with the farmer. Once they learn pattern recognition, and they have this already, they know every part of their ground, and what we're just giving them is a slightly different toolkit for noticing it. And when they do notice the deviation, I suppose we're giving them a different way to interpret that.
Yeah.
As say, okay, that means I could try this and see if I can get more of that thing, whatever that thing is, the plant or that growth or whatever.
I always thought the farmers, back in school, I always thought they were just fucking ahead of the game on most of the townies.
All along.
On every fucking thing.
Because they're working all the time. I grew up on a farm.
They're older, faster.
Oh, yeah. Well, part of that is as well, if you're working on a farm, you see death regularly. And that just it wakes you up.
I imagine.
Do you know what I mean? Because animals die, you have to cull animals, and so it becomes normal.
Yeah.
It's part of the process. And so in the same way, let's say an animal, the herd is moving forward, and they cull the weak animals in the bottom. You'll do that to your herd, because you can't expend resources helping every sick animal. Now, it's not the case you wouldn't. There's obviously animals that you would help. Like I remember my father would spend sometimes on an animal, he spent a lot of money calling the vet in and medicines to try and save the animal's life as best he can. But you might get an animal that's completely deformed when it's born. Like some animal might have a short lower jaw, and okay, that animal is never going to be able to chew. So you have to put it down. But these are rare cases. In the chicken houses, you would get animals that would be stunted and deformed. Some animals with 2 heads, and you get all kind of weird things happening. So, but it's in the human population.
Of course, yeah.
And you're going to get ones that die.
To make those decisions, and even to witness your dad making those, I mean, I was bust up when my dog died, man. I was fucking. Now and then you might get a fucking teary moment when a memory just pops into your head. My dog. It's the first dog I had that I seen come out.
What kind of dog was it?
He was a mixed breed, collie mixed with a husky. He looked like a fucking wolf, dude. Cass, he was fucking just a proper messy slob.
Was the name Cass?
Cass, yeah. He was fucking.
Where did that come from?
My dog.
Casper, the ghost?
That's where it came from.
Yeah.
I wanted a Cassius Clay, but she managed to get the ghosty guy in there because with Diego as well, his father, and the two of them lasted till this summer gone. They passed, the two of them, and his mother Sheba passed a few years ago. But they were fucking talk about educating by animals, just having dogs. I felt like a proper cunt for having them outside because I forget that they're aging. I forget that I'm aging. I'm like, I'm stationary. I'm not, everything is kind of, I'm just observing everything, but I'm not changing. Of course you're changing, you retard.
Yeah.
You're just so invested in things that you don't realize the simple everyday things. And then...
But that's not so bad though. Like at the same time, like if you're focused on something, like that's not such a bad thing.
Not at all, but it's just, you gotta be multitasking or whatever. I can zone out like that. I'm a fucking airhead. But I'm a genius then on other times, and I have these, sometimes you surprise yourself with your reaction to a thing, because you can always say how you'd like to react in any given situation in life. Mm-hmm. And you've no say in that, man. What's feeding that idea? Because when it happens, you will surprise, good or bad, you will be surprised. You'll be the first person that.
But that's what separates us. That's what separates us from, we think, from most of the animals, is that we can imagine the futures, and we can. So Jordan Peterson talks about this, that you can die in your imagination 100 times until you figure out what you role play the future, and you prepare for it. And like the most effective people, they visualize, like a tennis player, for example. They will sit there and they will visualize visualize the stroke, and they will train their arm to do the motion so robotically that it just happens automatically. A sprinter, they will visualize them. The most effective people are people who visualize, and they would visualize conversations, they would visualize interactions, and as they go into them, they will visualize. One of the key things is not to have assumptions, but visualize the opportunities that will come out of it, so that you're ready to actually access that opportunity rather than getting stuck about it.
Yeah, but that can go, like everything else, can get really squirrely. I mean,
you can go too far.
Oh yeah.
You can over prepare and get yourself anxious about it,
And then you zone out the fuck on the day when you need to be at the battles.
Yeah,
you're like,
but you learned in that situation that you went too far, and you don't do it the same the next time, So
I find now if there's a shoot going on like this thing is in March, the Euros will say, there's going to be sharks. I mean, serious people at this fucking thing. I'm getting the bronze. That's my plan. That's my target. But it's then like, how do I plan my hitting form on time, landing nice and comfortably in the date? And because I can say, well, I can't.
What's your strategy been so far?
Just fucking shoot some arrows, dude, and fucking get better at it, and increase my arrows, we'll say, and then when it comes closer to the time, maybe 2 weeks before, stop shooting completely.
Is this to just remove it from your mind a little bit, or to rest the arm?
It's just to fucking switch completely off. Just, I had an awesome story to tell myself about why I would do that. Oh yeah, because I found I had a bit of a tantrum there, and I took a winter kind of off. I was sulking over something.
Okay.
And when I went back, dude, I shot like a fucking assassin. I got like 6 arrows at 20 yards in the X, like. That's what
So there's-
compounders
so-
do.
so, yeah.
I'm not using any sites or shit. I'm just like, I imagine if I go up there or if I go that low at 20 yards, I should get it there.
So you have to stop thinking about it because the stress will gets in the way, and you carry it into the competition.
It's the excitement is gone. It's
Okay,
like,
because
this is
you're-
work now.
Because you're doing okay. Yeah, okay, I get
This
it.
sucks.
Yeah.
I want to be like, can I do it? Phew. Bit of legless. None of this fucking working bullshit.
Well, it's that kind of line, absence makes the heart grow fonder a little bit.
Well, there's that,
And
yeah.
So yeah. And
You're constantly weaving,
yeah.
in your fucking mind. What's the best approach? Because everyone loves to tell you, well, what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And I usually say, fuck you, fuck off,
Yeah.
leave me alone. I need a cigarette. And I go and I just...
Well, that's what you did. That's what you said earlier. Is that your shooting went to hell because you were listening to too much advice. Eh?
Yeah, 100%. Even simple as watching all these YouTube fucking people,
Can you-
Olympians and whatnot.
Can you bend the arrow? I seen a guy.
Dude, I can barely shoot the fucking
No, but
arrow.
I remember watching. There was some guy, or maybe it was a girl.
I
on
seen
the
it's a
internet,
guy.
and whatever she bended around a post and hit a target. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
That's pretty wild.
It's awesome. It's
Isn't
just
it?
but then that's like, how many times did they fuck it up before they got that shot?
Yeah.
But the fact that they thought to do it until they got it.
Yeah.
There's some amazing shit. Even the on horseback shooting the ball is fucking crazy. How do you fucking sink yourself in that moment, physically and every other fucking way,
There was a
for that perfect loose?
There's a famous book about the Comanche or the Apache Comanche Indians over in America,
Unbelievable, man.
and it talked about that and how to do that. But yeah,
You got to be hitting that shit like I used to be going up around like Kilworth, Ardlin, and wherever to be a hunt on. They're not going hunting. They're going out.
a drag hunt, is it?
Yeah, that's it. And you just see more than horses there. You see the community there. You see the way they're bringing the next generation in, and I'm like, they're so tiny on that big fucking horse. And everywhere there's a horse, there's a fucking accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Because they're just, these horses probably never fucking have been in such a field of other horses before. And you're putting the kid up there. I'm
It's
going
wild.
through there like, I'm going to get hit. I'm going to get hit.
I saw it over in North America and Canada. I didn't see it in the States, but they had these rodeos,
Oh, yeah.
and that's a different level of crazy.
Oh, dude.
So you get up in a big bull, and it was wild because I was this place called Armstrong, and they had kind of national competitions going around, and sometimes it'll hit this town and the other town, it'll spread it around a little bit. But this was a big stadium, and there was I don't know. It felt like there were maybe about 10,000 inside this kind of stadium watching this rodeo. I got a cheap ticket way at the back, but it was going on a distance. And before the rodeo kind of thing started, they introduced all of the big guys. And they all had a kind of an introduction music, like a rock star coming out, AC/DC or whatever, or Motorhead. And they come out, they read out all these things, and the crowd was going wild. And it was an impressive thing, but it's so dangerous.
Oh, it's
like on those animals. But from a young age, you're taking that risk because that's status.
Yes.
We were talking about it earlier, like that's status. And you take the risk to get the girl,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Or to get whatever it is that you want, you know? Because
Just
you're
I think
telling everybody
recognition
you're
of
willing to do it.
Self-worth is principally probably the fundamental reason.
It tells people you're willing to take a risk and sacrifice for,
you're not
for
a
whatever,
loser.
you know?
You're not a waster.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
exactly,
up and you're at it. Whatever it is. Could be fucking, I don't know, skiing or some shit.
Even knowing that so many people got crippled by it, you're still willing to take.
Yeah.
This is the kind of initiation that I was talking about earlier, you know?
Yeah.
That exists and used to exist and still does exist in a lot of places, but it doesn't exist so much in comfortable Western society, so to speak, you know? And
there's a lot of fucking animals. Like, there's a lot of fucking... Once the electricity switched off for whatever reason...
Oh yeah.
24 hours, people get really weird.
I wouldn't. There's probably not much more than a week's food in the cities, I'd say.
That's the last place you want to be. Is the
Yeah,
city,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
I'd be fucking delighted heading off into a massive fucking wilderness. With
Yeah.
just maybe my bow. I can always make a bow. It's no biggie.
Did you ever watch the TV series Alone? Over in Canada, where they
The airplane?
no they pick a valley, and I've been to a couple of places working where they did this. and then what they would do is they would drop a person alone, and they can have a couple of bits and pieces, and they'll drop them and they're about 12 miles apart, and they have their own cameras and they have to record, and they basically have to survive alone for the whole for the show. And the thing is, none of them know who else is given up, but they have a phone, a satellite phone, to say, okay, I want to go. They get medically checked maybe once a week, so they're not starving to death.
Oh, it goes
or,
on
or,
for
or whatever
weeks.
length of time. Oh, it goes on for, I think it goes on. The guy who won the last one that I watched, he killed a musk ox, and he had a bow, I think, and he had to stab it to death, and he lived and he was living in a kind of a rock house that he built.
But
and
is
all
that
this.
right as well? I mean, a bit of context. You live in our time, and you want to live out this fucking fantasy of killing a fucking oxbow with a.
Well, it was survival, you know.
That's extreme, though, no? Just tad.
It is, but I don't see a problem with extreme.
No, I don't.
Because you know.
Where are you up here? Like, when you come back to the fucking, how do you know?
Oh, he's fine. Like this guy knew what he was doing. Like he easily won it, and he's
Is he a hunter?
Yeah, he's been living like people who win these things.
They live this way.
They live this way.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like there was one guy who was a guy from New York City. I don't know if it was in this particular series, but he was talking about how he was a cop and he was used to dealing with all of these dangerous people and blowing himself up. And he was a big guy, strong guy, and told this story because they have kind of introduction stories, and then they got to get into it. And they will introduce certain different people each week.
Yeah.
Anyway, he first night he was in his tent and the wolf started howling. He says, "Get me out of here." Couldn't handle it.
I'd be the same,
Gone.
man.
Do you know, because it's a whole different thing when you think about that,
fucking
because you can't see what's going on, but then you've got people who are ready for it.
A peak
But-
predator like a fucking wolf.
Yeah. You know, but yeah, no, it's an interesting show because it just shows how difficult it is to do that.
Oh, look.
You know, and it's impressive when people can do it. And you meet a bunch of different characters, and they're aiming at a kind of a $250,000 prize. It's a life-changing prize, you know, for the family to get that amount of money. So.
But I think, it should be part of the fucking. I could go on all day with the education board. They're shocking, but physical activities like that, taking kids on a trek up a fucking mountainside, like maybe Cornhill will say for my schools, just take them, get them walking up the fucking hill, put them under pressure that way, and then maybe just. There's an absolute disconnect.
Start a tour.
I've time for that.
Yeah,
I've tours in here.
Yeah.
They're magical.
Do you know? But maybe you do one, next thing you do 2 and 3 and 4, next thing, you know, maybe there's money in it.
I'm not really a people person.
Okay.
I'm more of an individual, one-on-one kind of thing. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But if you give me too many people, I start to fucking sense.
They're telling you what to do.
I sense there's like, well, you're a fucking cunt. I don't want to. You get a vibe.
Yeah.
It's like you know the fucking the predator when he's looking with the heat seeking.
Yeah.
Well, there's a cunt. Stay away from that one. He's dodgy. These seem okay, but I'll push. They could be lefties. We don't want to do it. Don't want to deal with that today. So it's like you're making all these assumptions based on the way they carry themselves, the tone of their voice, the way they fucking breathe.
Yeah, you're reading people.
And it's like, oh, I'm going away.
Yeah.
I can't be around that shit. I barely get along with me. I mean, I'd be on.
Yeah.
I've had so many branched off personalities in my own fucking mind in the space of having breakfast with the amount of different things you're going off, pondering. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, which is the real part? Are we in the real part? This is the real part.
Yeah. To a point, I would have agreed with you a number of years ago, but I think I've changed my perspective a little bit, because I'm a little more open to listening to people now.
Yeah, well, that's important.
So, yeah.
It's important because that's when you can point and laugh, and they'll laugh with you.
Yeah,
but you also get the serious stuff sometimes that you might just need that particular moment to hear something along those lines that kind of reverberates back from your thinking. That vibration of like. Same.
Yeah. No, it's they call it synergy, I suppose is what they call it, where you have that, and this comes back to a lot of this when I was trying to describe this community dynamics. There's there are 4 principles, and one of them is biodiversity or community dynamics, and how there's a compounding effect. If you're in a room with 10 people and they all get on, like it can be a great night. Or if they're all thinking about something, they're all adding to it. But then you throw one sociopath into the middle of that, an asshole, the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, nothing better than an asshole to spread it.
But you can get a compounding effect as people are getting it, because as they start to think, suddenly the ideas that will start to come out of that room, as if you're trying to solve a problem, for example, you can come up with a solution that none of the individuals thought.
So like a mind kind of thing.
Yeah, actually that's pure what they call it's called synergy. You know, when you can get that. No, it takes work to do it, and it takes an open-mindedness of everyone who's involved. You know. And I'm not saying community dynamics is exactly like that, but it's the idea that, you know, you don't really know what that solution or idea can be. And it's the same with the plants. You don't really know how good they can be once you start to get that expression. And you add in as well, you know, you're talking about bringing birds in. As the birds come in, like the kind of flora that they will cultivate in their gut's going to be different from the gut that we brought up in the cow.
Yeah.
And the next thing you add that to the soil, and that starts to spread around.
And this
animal, we have no idea.
And does that not bother you? I mean, like I said, you're a brainiac. We're how many thousand years do you say we're here in this current form? And all the smart people are dumb. They're doing all the dumb shit. Like, your man killed 40,000+ fucking elephants.
Yeah.
And he got like peer reviewed before he did it. Yeah, you're right, John. Let's go do that. 40,000, get the guns. Beautiful. It's
very easy to lose what's called cultural capital. You know, it takes a long time for a culture to develop, but you can lose it very, very quickly.
100%.
You know, like, because if you have a war and a bunch of people get killed, like that information it goes. If the books are burnt, you know, and to be able to. Yeah, you can get set back quite a long way. Like you had the Dark Ages when you had the bubonic plague.
We were in the Dark Ages.
That killed a bunch of people. But there was a couple of centuries after that where, you know, it wasn't until what happened. It was not the Renaissance. Maybe it was the Renaissance. Yeah, and that was a sort of a cultural reawakening of creativity.
Yeah,
you know. But it was an optimism. It was a change in the paradigm, but. Because it was a lot of the cultural capital that had died because a lot of the intelligent people or people who just did things, I suppose.
Coincidentally, coffee was born around that time.
Was it? The Renaissance, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Explains a lot of the productivity.
Yeah.
But I just look at all these. That's why I used to think, like, I mean, I always had issues with authorities. It's just, naturally, I was like, don't fucking talk to me like that, because we won't get on. And it's just, you know, you try to kind of, because you're aware of the broader fucking effects of a particular reaction that you might have with a cunt for whatever reason. And it's like, now it's refined down to nearly an art form of how you would react. You have 2 choices. You can either fucking blend in, or you can be very quick, very abrupt, very violent, but very precise. In, like, you know, seconds. Can you get it? Can you make that happen? I don't know.
You mean with someone that you don't like, or
with authority,
government,
with fucking soldiers, guards, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
People. It's just, you would think that like everything has been born out of violence. So in my mind, everything will go back to violence. It's inevitable.
Well, that's a choice.
It's. Yeah, but if you look at the lay of the land, come back to what we can see on recognized even television programs that go way back, like documentaries, news clips, all of that. It's always been there. It's always happening. They've just dressed it up in misdirection.
Violence, you mean?
Oh yeah, in community, massive community.
We're a tribal animal, you know, and that's how things were always solved. And once the pressure comes on, we revert back to that.
I think that's the nature.
We need to recognize that.
I think it's the yin and the yang. It's like you can't have one without the other. You can't have the beautiful, lovely life in a world that doesn't have the absolute opposite. for people.
I've heard this before. I don't know if I agree, but I don't know if I've got a good explanation for why I don't agree. You know, I've heard this before. It kind of, intuitively it makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like you said earlier, with the tree and the grass up above is below. It's the same.
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe. Yeah.
So it's like it's there. It's in everywhere you look, you will find it. If you have that presence of mind.
It depends, I suppose, because obviously you got good things, but it depends how you classify that violence. Because within nature,
think William Wallace.
well, within nature, you've got
trees killing their babies.
Yeah, and you've got a tiger who kills whatever.
Did you see
an impala or whatever?
Jump at the guy on top of the elephant.
I've seen it.
And the guy sees him coming, he's like, "Oh fuck!" And he's on this fucking elephant. Oh, he's got his little bamboo stick, and I think he only glanced him with his paw, maybe, and apparently that guy's shoulder was fucked. I'm like, "Duh, what are you doing going on a fucking big dinner where there's tigers? Get a car."
No, you don't mess with those.
The fuck? I have a cat inside and she's aggressive.
I saw that because there was a guy there on the TV, I don't know how, maybe a year ago, and there was a cat came at him and it was a mountain lion and he killed him with his bare hands.
Yeah.
He killed him with his bare hands. I'm thinking,
sure
how the hell did you do that? Because you're right. It's like to subdue a tomcat.
It's a fucking trick.
Like, all you can really do is just bury your knee into it.
I imagine what happened with that.
Like, it's tough. How do you do it?
I say this guy came upon this fucking mountain lion who was probably sick and probably took a great fall because he was up in a very rocky place. Yeah, and then you had this fucking a severe concussion in the cat, and it's probably bodily already injured, and it just sees this human, attacks him in that fucked up condition.
Maybe.
And your man just has a lucky break. And maybe the neck was nearly already broke anyway. Because I seen this guy, the interview, and I see him I said, that's horseshit. No fucking way. Or else it was a baby cat.
It did. Well, no, it was a juvenile. It was
a juvenile. How old was the guy? 40 something?
I know, but still, it's still bigger than the tomcat. Anyway, either which way he managed to do it, but
see the one that got attacked by the bear and he walked back into town and his head was flapping in the fucking wind, man. Yeah. Now see, this is something I've been posting.
No, I've seen cases of that, people that their face half eaten off because bears are crazy,
They're rabid.
I was lucky enough to never get cornered by one, but it was because we were out in the bush all the time. We were carrying bear spray and we
bear spray.
Yeah.
You want a grenade for them fuckers?
Well, look, it's. I don't know if it would work, but it felt comforting to have it.
See, delusions again.
Yeah. Well, but you're always considering whether you're upwind or downwind, so it doesn't blow back into your face, and you're always thinking about it. But you're doing work as well. As long as you don't get if you come across a carcass,
you're fucked.
Then you need to be very, very careful where you get out of there in case there's any signs. But you might
it's
not know. But if you get between a cub and a mother, it's big trouble. It's big trouble. And I'm lucky that I'd never got anywhere near that kind of situation.
I wouldn't allow myself in that situation. As in that part of the world, I'm not going there. That's what the bears are. I'm not going there. You know why? Because I've never been in that before. I'm too old now. I'm too disconnected from that place.
Yeah.
I have no intention to go. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, but it was interesting,
And if someone has rifles and pistols, we're not going there. End of. Even if it was the happiest, loveliest bear in the world, give me the rifle. If he's within 10 feet of me, he's getting shot.
Well, that's what I would have rathered, but guns weren't allowed, so.
Yeah. Then I'm not going.
Yeah.
You should bring a bow the next time.
Yeah, maybe.
A crossbow even.
It's tough to carry, but
a crossbow would be handy.
Yeah. They mean it.
It'd probably be more effective as well than the other bows.
Now, if you were down in the States, it might be a different story. But up in Canada, they're a little more restrictive up there. So
Canada's fucked. Canada's gone by the way England's gone. It looks, and what happens there happens.
It is
like
when Trudeau took over that place. That what he did to it.
Wrecking ball.
I don't know. I remember years ago. I at the office I was in, there was a guy called Marv, and we come around where we get tea or coffee. I drank it at the time, and he was trying to tell me that Trudeau was a communist, and it's kind of, we were joking about each other, and I was kind of just, I was saying he wasn't, but kind of just pushing back against him, just to mess around. Plus, I didn't really understand politics at the time. I hadn't quite woken up to a lot of the things that were going on. But then, I don't know, 6 years later, I met Marv, and I had to go up to him and say, "Sorry, you're absolutely right." You know, his old man was a similar character, because he came over to Alberta, and he was famous for. He knew he wasn't going to get votes over there because it's very conservative, more, and he was liberal from Quebec. But I think, I could be wrong, he left giving the finger to Alberta as he went out of it. And it's really annoying for the Albertans because they have these things called equalization payments. So if you're a province that is making more money, you put money into a pot, and that is distributed out amongst the other poorer provinces.
All right.
And Alberta is always a richer province because it's got a lot of oil and it's just very well run. And it's giving money to Quebec, who has all of these social programs that are way more generous than the ones in Alberta. And so they're giving all this money for you guys to own. And then when Alberta wanted to get a pipeline built that went through Quebec so they process the oil over on the East Coast, they wouldn't allow it. Even though they're making money from the oil that through these payments.
No,
it's
wasn't there going to be some kind of separation there?
Quebec was trying to secede 10, 15 years ago, but that's kind of gone away a little bit.
I don't think so. I think that's back on the boil.
It could be, but there was also an attempt for Alberta, Manitoba and Saskatchewan to secede in the middle of Canada, but that was talk. I've lost contact with it because I've been away for a couple of years now, so I don't really know what's going on. But Alberta was struck because they couldn't put the pipeline south because Joe Biden and Trudeau was stopping it. They couldn't put a pipeline over to British Columbia because that's very environmental. It's very liberal out in British Columbia. They couldn't send it to the east because of Quebec and the rest of them stopping it going to the east. And they couldn't put it to the north because of the Arctic, and it's trying to get it out of there. It's very difficult to cross the Arctic seas because ice blocks it up. But last I heard, and that's maybe 2 years ago, they were thinking of trying to build a pipeline up to the north and get icebreakers because they're desperate to get their product to market. Okay. But they're landlocked, you see. So no, I think with Trump maybe they'll go ahead with something to the south, but I've lost contact. I'm not sure what's going on over there. So
I always found the Canadians to be a really weird. I might have met one or two, but that's not enough to go. But just in general, by their content that they project to the world, I was like,
they're different.
You need meat in your diet, people.
They're different.
They're just very childlike.
They're nice and they're
lovely. Some of my favourite singers and comedians are from Canada, but they're just. I know they're big into their hockey. Is it?
Hockey, yeah.
Violent sport. It's the only place in Canada, I suspect, where you find violence is on the
wild. It's so fast.
On the ice.
It's so fast.
But it's weird to sit back and just you have to factor in so many. Everything can change in a second. You can have this opinion that you don't know where you've got this opinion from, but you have an opinion on a fucking nation based on what? But it's there, and then you can flip it like in no time at all.
Yeah, you adapt, like you acquire information.
But this is the point. It's like when you're looking at your phone, you've seen all these videos. That's all you've been kind of brought up on. If you haven't physically gone to Canada, for example, you're only commenting on videos. You're not qualified.
Well, that's what something again Peterson talks about when he was teaching kids, is that they're doing a creative writing exercise or whatever it is, or whatever exercise they're doing in writing, and he'd read through it, and 99% of it is just information. It's cliches, quotes from other people that they put out there, but then he'll find one little kernel in there which is a unique thought that came from that person, and what he's trying to do is he's trying to find that, because he's trying to point out to the person that he saw it, so that they'll start to put in more. I think that was pretty neat.
It is pretty neat.
But you're right, otherwise, because they can write all this stuff down and it's easy. They can accept criticism of all this other stuff because it's other people's ideas. What they're nervous of is criticism of their own idea, so they'll bury it in the last page in some paragraph.
Dude, when I go to a shoot,
but then they grow into it.
They have to have it in. I don't know how to get it there, or maybe it's there, or create an environment for it to reveal itself onto them, but you gotta go, and it's not an arrogance, okay, before anyone fucking says anything, but when I go to a shoot or whatever, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm awake today, I want to win a medal, I'm telling everyone, I'm beating you today, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm not beating nobody, like, you know what I mean?
But you say it, you manifest it a little bit,
I'm trying to, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, this year it's splutter. So I'm thinking, okay, this is all about just
do you know,
realign for next year.
there's a bit of truth in it, you know. Like if you need to convince yourself that
we're
it's
all
going to
wizards,
happen.
dude. Just
You know?
fucking
Yeah.
creating our premonitions.
Well, look, because you say it's going to happen, you visualize it enough times, and then subconsciously you take actions that
You do,
turn
because
you
you're
in
like,
that
I've been
direction.
talking my ass off. I gotta go do something now because it's not going to just fucking magically happen. And then you do noticeably better, and then you think, wait a minute, maybe I just actually try.
No, it can compound over time, you know, once you realize it. And this is why, you know, my opinion, my attitude towards engaging with people has changed, because I find that the more people I'm engaging with,
Yeah.
like I'll have a conversation with someone new, the conversation we're having now, you never know where this conversation is going to go.
Oh, that's the beauty
And
of it, though.
someone hears it, and like the opportunity I have now at this thing on Tuesday, that came, I don't even know how it came, but it came because I engaged with a woman called Sarah Prosser, who does this bioregioning group where she's weaving, basically.
Right.
You mentioned it earlier. She has a skill for finding people and saying, okay, you need to talk to this person. And next thing it happens. And you start to build these networks and these communities across this area. They're building it on the idea of water catchments. So you got the area from Laois all the way down to Waterford, and there's about 5 rivers, and they're doing it around the idea of the water catchments, which I think is very, very good. Because that's the kind of, because if we can figure out to get people together, and the water is the problem, like I've mentioned, in terms of drying out. So if we can have examples within that system, and that we can actually improve the water, and that shows that what we're saying is a good way forward. But it's just a good way to encapsulate, because water is, you know, we don't live without it.
No.
You know? But anyway, I got to speak to her, and I was open to the conversation, and she must have figured that I was reasonably genuine in what I was doing, and I'm trying to be that way. And then because that, she suggested to this other guy, go on this panel, and you know, doors can open up, you know.
Oh, well, that's it. I mean, you got to keep saying yes. Sure, I'll do it. I don't want to do it. I said I'll do it. And then in the doing of it, chain reaction elsewhere.
But
Totally
but at the same time, you're saying no to other things that are distracting you.
Well, that's
because it's easier than you think.
Well,
It's easier than you think.
I need at least
once
today.
once you've decided what it is you're aiming at.
Well, I'm aiming at having at least one day of a weekend to myself for decompressing, as I call it, for my physical. Say what the body takes.
But what you're saying,
of the week.
but you're saying no to everything else, so that day happens.
Yeah. Usually.
Yeah.
I have buddies with me now, the kids. Popcorn and that's it.
How many kids do you have?
2.
How old?
12 and 6.
12 and 6. What are the names?
James Jr. and Sebastian.
And Sebastian.
Yeah.
Where does Sebastian name come from then?
His mother.
Okay.
I got to name James Jr. because I didn't know if there was going to be
Another
opportunity, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
But, because it could have all been girls after him, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're
What are they into?
fucking mental. They're just fucking... My brilliant fucking idea was we should let them be wild as fuck. That was my master plan. And when we send them out to the world, they won't know what the fuck hit them. The world, like, not the kids. But no, it's like, they're into all, like I said, Sebastian wants to be a farmer. He's big into all of that. He's big into fucking tractors like you wouldn't believe. Junior then is just constantly creating a stream of fucking his consciousness onto canvas. And onto books.
Yeah.
He loves movies. He loves acting. He'll watch his animated movies and he'll act out scenes out of the fucking blue. You're like, what the fuck? He could be getting killed. And you're like, if you're in a shop or something and he's like getting killed, people who just walk in and some fucking hero now is going to come over thinking something and they get a can of peas into the face or something. But no, they're very they're very cool. They're cool dudes.
It's good.
They're very cool, but they're very annoying as well. I'm gonna have to have a cigarette before I start crying.
No worries.
This is the longest
What time are we at?
3 hours and 10 minutes,
10 o'clock.
dude.
Yeah. I better go home. My dogs.
They're nice dogs, by the way, man.
Not
They're
doing too bad
very
now.
nice.
Not doing too bad now. And
They don't look too old either.
just a year in May.
Ah, dude,
Yeah.
that's heaven.
Don and Mel. So no, they're happy out because my brother had a kind of a sheepdog thing.
Yeah.
Border collie mixed kind of with two different colour eyes, and then sheepdog came across the valley. And next thing we had 6 pups, so I took 2. He kept 2, and 2 others went somewhere else in the area. So most mornings or a lot of mornings, I'll go up and I'll take used to and go up to a woodland above and just go.
It's nice to have the freedom to let them off the leash.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I used to do it until someone fucking threatened me, and then things got stupid. Some fucking warden dude in the woods is gonna fucking bury the cunt in the woods, man.
Yeah.
I'll take the dog off you because I like to see you fucking try it, buddy. I fucking eat you. It soured my fucking experience going.
Why was he going to take? Because is there a bylaw that says you must have him on the leash?
There was no fucking law nowhere.
So what's the?
He was just being a cunt.
Yeah.
See, that's what I mean. Their cunts are there. They're everywhere.
Yeah, but
I can be a cunt.
You know, yeah.
But you really want to be trying to get me pissed off if you want to see my cunt.
No, look, I encountered a fella, and I need to find out what the law is. It was up in the Knockmill Down Mountains, and he's got sheep up in the hill.
All right.
But my dogs are under control. So
if they're on a leash, they're under control. If they're not,
but
he's allowed to shoot them, isn't he?
No.
Because there's a bunch of cowards that shoot
No, because as long as your dog is under control, because you have to have them under reasonable recall control. That's my understanding of the law. As long as they're under control.
Yeah, but how you argue that in a court when the farmer says one way and you say another? They say, well, the dog is dead, so it doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, it's a tragedy.
If the dog has gone a certain distance away from you, then he's not under control. But if he shoots a dog when he's right next to you, then
you shoot him back.
Then you need to find him, you know, because because that's too close. But if the dog has gone off half a mile away, or 500 meters, and he's over near the sheep, then that's your fault. You've made a mistake there.
Yeah.
To let that happen, but no,
a dog is only trained right up until they're not.
Well, again, it depends how well they're trained.
You bring a bitch and heat around any trained dog and like that, man. It's I've seen it with
But
Alsatian.
this is a decision you make. Like, she's in heat, then you don't
our poor baby's locked up. I have to walk her at like 6:30 in the morning before no cunt gets up. You know what I mean? Just up the road. But no, as soon as she's 2, though, I'm getting my dog because I think they're more into cast enough now. I miss him. I want to replace him, give him a new buddy. But she'll have to get the old job done, I'd say.
Yeah.
She's young now.
My dog, bitch. I'm not sure. I think I'll let her have one set of pups.